Chapter 1052. This hollow willow sapling was transplanted along with the soil, and not even a small root was broken. After transplanting, there was no such thing as survival. Although the concentration of spirit chi in the secret realm was far less than in the space of the spirit bead, the environment was not bad. The big willow tree in the green willow state grew on a rank 3 spirit vein all year round, and its branches and leaves were luxuriant. This small sapling grew on a rank 5 spirit vein, and there was a jade fire bead constantly producing life force below, so it was not a problem for the sapling to grow slowly. There was a spirit root and a life spirit fire below, so the sapling's roots would go all out. When he swallowed the jade fire bead and wrapped the roots around the spirit vein, his growth should be much faster. Wang Daoyuan was not in a hurry to leave, but carefully observed the secret realm. He wanted to see how much this hollow willow sapling could stabilize the space. 2 days later, the sapling adapted to the new environment and began to release traces of the power of the law of space. As soon as this power appeared, it immediately drilled into the soil and disappeared. Wang Daoyuan immediately spread out his divine sense to observe the changes in the surroundings. Sure enough, the loss of the law of space in the secret realm slowed down a little, about a tenth. Although it was not much, the sapling was still small and had just adapted to the environment. The sapling would slowly grow, and the power of the law of space it released would become stronger and stronger. Even now, it could reduce the loss of the law of space by a tenth, and the consumption of space stones could be reduced by a tenth. In the long run, the value was very considerable. When his cultivation base was promoted to the Mahayana realm, he could quickly cultivate to the Almighty realm by using his spirit power to transform his divine sense. With his domain ability, mastering the path of space would not be a problem. When the time came, he would create a spirit pivot for this secret realm, and he would not have to worry about the loss of the power of space. After confirming that the hollow willow sapling was useful, there was no need to continue to stay here. He sent someone to call Wang Daojian and told him some things. Not long after, Wang Daojian came to the secret realm. "Seventh brother, what are you looking for me for?" Wang Daoyuan pointed to the sapling and asked, "Does it look familiar?" Wang Dao thought briefly. The aura of this little willow sapling is somewhat familiar. It seems to be similar to the big willow tree in the green willow region. Wang Daoyuan nodded. The big willow tree in the green willow region is a divine tree called the hollow willow. It would contain the power of space and could be used to maintain a secret realm. The green willow secret realm was maintained by the big willow tree. However, it was not easy for the hollow willow to grow. The big willow tree in the green willow state had lived for many years, but it was only a rank 1 spiritual wood. I nurtured this sapling and planted it in the blood shadow secret realm. It can slow down the loss of spatial energy. Now he could reduce the rate of loss by about 10%. In the future, if he wanted to maintain this secret realm, the amount of space underworld stones consumed would also be reduced by 10%. As the sapling grows, its ability to slow down the loss of spatial energy will also become stronger and stronger, and the consumption of dark space stones will also decrease. That's not bad. It can reduce the consumption of dark space stones and save a lot of resources. You have to arrange for reliable people to manage this sapling. Don't be careless. With that said, he took out a 3-inch long silver sword. This is a rank 5 superior grade sword talisman that I made. After activating it, it can release the Big Dipper sword array. It won't be a problem to kill great Fey kings. Although there are treasures left behind by the Blood Shadow Patriarch, it can only be used for defense and not offense. It can only ensure that enemies can't attack, but it can't kill them. If you are surrounded by rank 5 demonic beasts, you won't be able to do anything. With this sword talisman, you can kill anyone who dares to court death. It just so happens that you cultivate the Beiyuan sword intent. Once the sword intent and spiritual power are used up, you can replenish it. You can also use it when comprehending sword intent. Wang Daojian took the sword talisman. "Seventh brother, don't worry. Although my cultivation isn't high with the Beiyuan sword intent, there aren't many below the Yuanying realm who can fight me. The fiendish cultivators and half-Fey in the southern wilderness have a hard time breaking through the Yuanying realm. I can intimidate them with my own abilities. Now that I have this sword talisman, I can guarantee that the Jade Wave Sea branch will be absolutely safe." Wang Daoyuan took out a jade slip. This is the secret manual of the Tiangang sword formation. The Tiangang sword formation can be used for both offense and defense. I created it with the Sword Shadow Divine Light technique and Sky Sealing Sword Prison as the foundation. You can cultivate it for a bit. When you need to use the sword talisman in the future, you can also control it a bit. Then many thanks, seventh brother. We're brothers, no need to be so polite. Your seventh sister-in-law and I are going to travel the southern wilderness. I'll leave this place to you. The most important thing for the Jade Wave C branch is stability. There are still a lot of resources here, so there's no need to rush to expand. First, open a few shops in the north side of the Jade Wave Sea and purchase some valuable spiritual items. After the cultivators sent by the headquarters replace the main manpower here, it won't be too late to expand into the depths of the southern wilderness. After saying a few more words to Wang Daojian, Wang Daoyuan took Zhou Luan and left the Jade Wave Sea branch. Riding on Lei Peng's flying boat, they headed due south. Along the way they didn't encounter any trouble. After a few hours, they arrived at the north shore of Decimating Heaven Abyss. Sensing the violent spiritual energy, Zhou Luan frowned slightly. With this formation isolating us, I can still feel the danger inside. Wang Daoyuan had an indifferent expression. Don't worry, princess, I've often come to this place. Master is overseeing this Decimating Heaven Abyss. Other than people who possess the returning to origin sword intent, all living beings whose cultivation has reached the deity transformation stage will be attacked by Master when they enter Decimating Heaven Abyss. You'd better stay inside the spiritual pearl space first, so as to avoid being accidentally injured. When we arrive in front of Master, I'll let you out. Zhou Luan nodded, and Wang Daoyuan stored her into the spiritual pearl space. Piloting Lei Peng's flying boat into Decimating Heaven Abyss, he could still encounter demons the previous 2 times. Right now it was rather peaceful without even a shadow. He arrived at the location of the returning to origin sword immortal's tomb without any obstructions. Arriving in front of the tomb, the returning to origin sword flashed repeatedly, and the figure of a white-robed man appeared. Wang Daoyuan hurriedly bowed. Disciple Wang Daoyuan greets Master. Sword Immortal Guiyuan nodded in satisfaction. Not bad, you've broken through to the deity transformation stage. Last time you wanted to catch a spirit demon, I wonder how the result was? Thanks to Master's guidance, I encountered 2 spirit demons at the edge of the extreme frost ice plains. I killed a peak rank 5 spirit demon and captured a rank 4 spirit demon alive. Through the deduction of the rank 4 spirit demon, they should be the descendants of ghost immortals, and their cultivation method inheritance is very similar to that of ghost cultivators. After that, I went to the Heavenly Mystery Tower and asked those divine venerable seniors for help. I've already integrated the method of transforming spiritual power into divine sense into my Dao-seeking cultivation method. With that, Wang Daoyuan also displayed the secret technique of transforming spiritual power into divine sense. As the #1 expert of the human race back then, Sword Immortal Guiyuan naturally had a lot of experience. He could tell at a glance that this secret technique was extraordinary. He nodded repeatedly. It's indeed extraordinary. With this method, the cultivation speed of the deity transformation stage can be much faster than that of ordinary cultivators. At the Mahayana stage, it's even easier to produce immortal power. In the future, it shouldn't be difficult for you to suppress those children of providence in the center of the Qinyuan continent. Since that spirit demon is a descendant of ghost immortals, it can be considered a branch of the human race. You can't kill it excessively. Wang Daoyuan smiled and said, Don't worry, Master. I will try to subdue the spirit demon clan in the future and won't kill them casually. My Dao companion has also broken through to the deity transformation stage and wants to visit you together. However, the rule of the Absolute Heaven Abyss is that disciples who have reached rank 6 and don't have Guiyuan sword intent will be attacked by you. I don't know if you can control yourself and not attack my Dao companion. Don't worry, disciple. When creatures who have reached rank 6 enter the Absolute Heaven Abyss, they will only activate the array formation and provide me with a large amount of spiritual power. In the end, whether I attack or not, only I have the final say. Even the heavenly Dao can't interfere. If not, wouldn't I become a puppet? I, Sword Immortal Guiyuan, once suppressed the Qinyuan world for an era. How can I be manipulated by others? Then I'm relieved. After saying that, he released Zhou Luan from the spirit pearl space. Princess, this is Sword Immortal Guiyuan, my master. Zhou Luan hurriedly bowed. Greetings, Master. Sword Immortal Guiyuan nodded in satisfaction. Disciple, you are so lucky to have married such a beautiful and talented Dao companion. I see that you have the Phoenix bloodline and seem to have awakened a type of spiritual fire. I only have a grave and a sword left, and I don't have anything to give you. However, I do know a lot of secret techniques, spells and the like. Daoyuan, give me a jade slip. I'll record a fire-controlling secret technique. Wang Daoyuan took out a blank jade slip and handed it to Sword Immortal Guiyuan. Sword Immortal Guiyuan injected his divine sense into it. After a few breaths, he handed the jade slip to Zhou Luan. The fire controlling technique recorded here is called the Nanming Fire Accumulation Technique. It was created by an earth immortal hundreds of thousands of years ago. Other than controlling the spiritual fire, it also has the effect of nurturing the spiritual fire and accelerating its growth. It was originally used to control the Nanmingli fire. You have the phoenix bloodline and the fire also belongs to the phoenix race. It is very similar to the Nanmingli fire and should have a very good effect. Zhou Wan hurriedly took the jade slip. Thank you, Master, for your generous gift. This Dharma spell is most suitable for Mingchen. Who is Mingchen? Master, Mingchen is our eldest son. His divine power is the Nanmingli fire. Even though Sword Immortal Beiyuan was experienced and knowledgeable, he was still stunned. The two of you are very lucky to have such a genius descendant. In the entire Qianyuan realm, there are not many cultivators with the vermilion bird avatar, but there are also quite a few. However, less than 1 in a million can awaken the Nanmingli fire divine power. The Nanmingli fire can burn anything. With this fire, not only will his cultivation speed be fast, his strength will also be extremely powerful. In an era without the Son of Providence, such talent can be said to be the top genius. Unfortunately, I am a sword cultivator. Otherwise, I would definitely train him well. Our second son was born with a sword physique. His purple mansion avatar is a long sword with the pattern of a white tiger divine beast. He cultivated the Valley of Beasts' killing sword art. Sword Immortal Beiyuan nodded. That's right. I have seen the killing divine monarch. He is indeed a sword cultivator genius. If he did not die, he should be a sword immortal now. I have also taught him the killing sword art. It is not inferior to the inheritance of a powerful figure. If there is a chance in the future, I can teach this grand disciple. By the way, why did you come here? Just say it. As long as I can do it, I will definitely not refuse. Wang Daoyuan said with a smile, I have captured 2 devils in this decimating heaven abyss and refined them into clones. Now that they have reached the stage of breaking through to the soul formation realm, if they break through outside, the heavenly tribulation will probably be very terrifying. I would like to ask Master, can the devils break through to the soul formation realm in this decimating heaven abyss? Don't worry. As long as I don't make a move, there is nothing in this decimating heaven abyss that can disturb them. Even if those guys on the south bank of the decimating heaven abyss find something wrong, they will not dare to come in and court death. Let them go through the tribulation here at ease. Maybe they can even attract a few experts from the demon race. Bullying these little guys all day is really boring. Now Wang Daoyuan was relieved. He took out his clone Shui Quan and Mou from the spiritual pearl space. Sword Immortal Beiyuan looked at these 2 devils and said with a smile, not bad. Let them go through the tribulation 10,000 miles away so as not to affect the formation. Also, it is best if they do it at the same time. The power of the heavenly Tao here is extremely weak. If they do it at the same time, the heavenly tribulation will be even weaker. Chapter 1053. Wang Daoyuan had always underestimated Sword Immortal Beiyuan's autonomy. He used to think that he was completely controlled by the array formation. From the looks of it, he still had a lot of autonomy. Whether he attacked or not depended on his mood. Master, I'll help the 2 demon clones transcend the tribulation first. Sword Immortal Beiyuan nodded. Go. If the demons transcend the tribulation here, they will definitely attract the attention of the demons outside the Qianyuan realm. When the time comes, there might be demon experts coming to investigate. If a demon expert appears, you can use the Beiyuan sword intent. I'll use the sword intent resonance to help you. Cultivators below the Mahayana realm won't be a problem. Even if it was the early Deshang stage demon, he could have the power to fight. You have to be prepared. If a Mahayana demon attacks, you won't even have time to escape. Master, don't worry. I still have ways to escape. With that said, he took out the flying boat and flew east with Zhou Wan and the 2 demon clones. After flying for 20,000 kilometers, he placed the blood spring on a small mountain with a spirit vein. Then he flew east for another 5,000 kilometers and placed the demon prison in a place with a spirit vein. The 2 demon clones were meditating, making the final preparations for the breakthrough. The cultivation system of the demons was similar to that of the human race in the early stages. However, at the Yuanying realm, the laws that the 2 sides could grasp were different. The difference was obvious. At the Mahayana realm, it involved the power of the heavenly Tao. The heavenly Tao was the will of a world. There was a huge difference between different worlds. The difference between the cultivation system of the Mahayana realm and the demons was even greater. For example, the clone soul nurturing technique was completely ineffective against human Yuanying cultivators. However, it could still be used against Yuanying demons. However, at the soul formation realm, the clone soul nurturing technique could not even deal with the demons. The two clones had been in the spiritual pearl space for some years. Their foundation was extremely solid. Not long after they meditated, they felt a wave of power descend. Wang Daoyuan sensed the clones in a panoramic manner. This power was completely different from the heavenly might of the human and demon tribulations. The heavenly might of the human race's heavenly tribulation was the power of the righteous path. It made people want to worship it. At this time, his power was eerie and terrifying, as if he was facing a demon whose strength far exceeded his own. It made people tremble in fear. Previously, during the chaos in the heavenly Devil Valley, the Devil Clan had sacrificed a large group of golden core devils to summon the heavenly Devil Phantom. The power that Wang Daoyuan felt through the two demon clones was very similar to the power of the heavenly demon phantom. Princess, you should enter the spirit orb space. In a place like this, you're constantly consuming your spiritual energy. If a demon expert really intervenes, you won't be able to help. If a grand ascension stage devilish being were to attack, then his master would definitely be forced into action. He could sense my sword intent and deliberately avoided me. But at such a distance he won't be able to accurately avoid you. You'll be in danger then. Zhou Luan nodded slightly. Okay, I'll stay in the space for a while. Although Zhou Luan was sometimes rude and unreasonable and did not allow him to flirt with other women, she was still able to distinguish between the important and urgent matters. Most of the time she was able to help. When she couldn't help, she would definitely not be a hindrance. Wang Daoyuan put her into the spirit orb space, found a lake and used means to hide. At the same time he sensed the two clones in a panoramic manner, wanting to see what the Devil Clan's tribulation was like. In this absolute heaven abyss there was black gas everywhere. Even the 9 heavens astral wind was cut off by this black gas, not to mention the tribulation cloud. Before the tribulation cloud formed, it was blown away by the black gas. Moreover, he had never heard of the Devil Clan having a heart demon. It was also impossible for them to transcend the heart demon tribulation. Soon, above the two demon clones, a huge demon phantom appeared respectively. The demon phantom that appeared above the blood spring was a huge blood devil phantom. There was nothing strange about it. Instead, the demon phantom that appeared above the devil prison was a little strange. It looked roughly like a myriad law devil but also a little like a soul devil and a blood devil. Just as Wang Daoyuan was somewhat puzzled, Guiyuan Sword Immortal's voice sounded in his ears. Disciple, this clone of yours is pretty good. This heavenly tribulation devil phantom is precisely Mo Jun, who was killed by my sneak attack back then. It seems that what this demon clone of yours said is true. He really is Mo Jun's descendant. Wang Daoyuan whispered to himself, Master can actually see the situation here? Are you confused? They broke through to the soul formation realm. This movement is even greater than the soul formation devil clan. The formation has already been awakened. If I can't even observe the situation here, how can I kill the devil clan? It's just that this kid is a little strange. He actually summoned the ancestors' law phantom. The Devil Clan's heavenly tribulation is similar to the Demon Clan's bloodline heavenly tribulation. After transcending the tribulation, it will make one's bloodline purer. If he continues to cultivate, he really might be able to reproduce Mo Jun's ability. Wang Daoyuan nodded and did not speak anymore. He focused on sensing the situation of the two clones transcending the tribulation. He did not control the clones to fight. Fighting with his ancestors' law phantom was very beneficial to them. If he controlled them to fight, the comprehension would be much worse. At this moment, the two clones had already engaged in a battle with the law phantom. There was nothing to see on the blood demon's side. He mainly focused on fighting with his physical body. Of course, the blood demon also had the ability to control his opponent's blood. However, the law phantom did not have a physical body. Shui Quan could not control his blood and could only defend passively. The devil prison's side was more flashy. He and ancestor Mo Jun both had the bloodline of the myriad arts devil. All kinds of devil clan spells flew everywhere, mixed with some methods of the blood demon and the soul-devouring devil. These two guys' foundation was too solid. They fought with the law phantom for 15 minutes before they were at a disadvantage. Then the devil prison and Shui Quan were completely beaten up. However, with their solid foundation they could still hold on for the time being. Wang Daoyuan heard Sword Immortal Guiyuan's voice again. You're really generous to nurture these two demon clones. Their foundation is too solid. I've never seen anyone who could fight the heavenly tribulation head-on and hold on for 15 minutes. With these resources, it's good to nurture a few more clansmen. Wang Daoyuan could not explain this. He really did not invest many resources in these two demons. When he hunted demonic beasts, he could let Shui Quan clean up their blood essence. He could also get some benefits. As for the devil prison, he did not get any benefits at all. He even had to refine pills all day. Their current strength was entirely due to the accumulation of time. He could only reply in a low voice. In the Qixing Si Xiuxing community, I found some spiritual items suitable for the devil clan. Human cultivators have no use for them, so I gave them to them. Sword Immortal Guiyuan did not speak again. Wang Daoyuan also carefully sensed the battle between the two clones. Sooner or later he would have to fight with the devil clan. If he understood more now, it would be much easier to deal with the devil clan in the future. Shui Quan and the devil prison could only fight to the death. They did not have the strength to fight back. An hour passed quickly. The law phantom began to shrink and finally turned into a water ball. This water ball was pitch black and was the size of a fist. The energy it contained made Wang Daoyuan tremble in fear. Soon the water ball fused into their bodies. The two clones began to circulate their cultivation techniques to refine the water ball. Wang Daoyuan did not dare to keep them in the spiritual pearl space. Although the black water ball had a lot of energy, it was related to the devil clan. It was not suitable for the living beings of the Qinyuan world. This thing was even more powerful than the violent spiritual energy in the southern wasteland. Once it dissipated in the spiritual pearl space, many of the spiritual plants would be destroyed. In the depths of the absolute heaven abyss, there was a fine crack. Outside the crack was the endless void. From the outside, this crack was just a black crack in the void. It was impossible to tell that there was a world here. The chaotic energy in the void constantly surged in from the crack. After entering the crack, it turned into black qi. It was not that there was nothing outside the crack. There were small black islands floating nearby. At this moment, in a hall on one of the islands, more than 10 devil clan members with unfathomable cultivation levels were gathered. Among them, a tall devil clan member with a blood-red body said, "I can sense that there is a junior of my blood devil lineage in the absolute heaven abyss. He has already succeeded." The devil clan members discussed among themselves. Then they looked at the devil clan member sitting at the head of the table. This devil clan member was an extremely handsome man. His appearance was no different from a human's. He wore a black fish scale armor and a black jade crown on his head. He chuckled, "Interesting." Mo Jun's descendant attracted the demigod tribulation and even attracted Mo Jun's law phantom. Hearing this, the devil clan members were abnormally excited. The blood devil was stunned. Then he revealed a look of ecstasy. "Great Commander, is it because that old man Guiyuan can't take it anymore? He actually allowed a junior of the sacred clan to succeed?" A skinny devil clan member scolded, "Idiot. That old man was still wantonly slaughtering the sacred clan members in the absolute heaven abyss. If he can't take it anymore, he wouldn't be so weak now. Maybe he's playing dumb to lure us over and kill 2 Mahayana sacred clan members while he's at it." The blood devil was not to be outdone. "You are not from more than 70,000 years ago. What do you know? My blood devil lineage's descendant doesn't matter. Mo Jun's descendant is the key. Mo Jun can use spiritual energy to transform into qi, blood, and consciousness. When fighting, the power of his consciousness will almost never be exhausted. His cultivation speed is also extremely fast. Back then, when he was fighting with the human clan, he defeated 5 human almighties by himself. Even if those almighties aren't very strong, do you have the ability to do so? If he can take another step and become a demigod, only that old man Guiyuan can defeat him in the Qinyuan realm." The human clan also attached great importance to this matter. Guiyuan personally led a group of human almighties to attack Mo Jun. The sacred clan was caught off guard. Mo Jun's death in battle was the greatest loss to the sacred clan. Now that a sacred clan member is undergoing a tribulation and attracted Mo Jun's law phantom, this person must be Mo Jun's descendant. Moreover, it's very likely that he inherited Mo Jun's ability to transform spiritual energy into qi, blood, and consciousness. You're just a kid who's not even 50,000 years old. Do you know what this means? The great commander sitting high above nodded. If this person really inherits Mo Jun's ability after breaking through to the demigod realm, his strength will be second only to Sword Immortal Guiyuan. The current almighties and earth immortals of the human clan are no match for him. Back then, the sacred clan was defeated because there were too few low-level sacred clan members. They could not defeat the human clan and the Fey clan in terms of attrition. Another reason was that they did not have a top expert like Sword Immortal Guiyuan. Back then, Sword Immortal Guiyuan was the sacred clan's nightmare. More than 20 sacred clan almighties died at his hands. There were even 7 demigods. Even if 4 or 5 demigods attacked him together, it was difficult to kill him. If Mo Jun could cultivate to the demigod realm back then, he might not be able to kill Sword Immortal Beiyuan, but he could at least hold him back. Together with other demigods, they might even have a chance of killing him. Now that Sword Immortal Beiyuan is dead, his remaining soul is much weaker than before. If there's really an existence with strength comparable to Mo Jun that breaks through to the demigod realm, we can easily breach the decimating heaven abyss and attack the Qianyuan realm again. Therefore we cannot sit back and do nothing. The skinny demon asked, then what should we do? Should we send an army to attack the decimating heaven abyss? The great commander shook his head. We can't do that. If we really send an army to attack the decimating Sword Immortal Beiyuan's soul, the sacred clan will also suffer heavy casualties. There are many almighties and earth immortals in the Qianyuan realm. They can easily wipe us out. Let's send a few demigods to scout the way. If it's a trap set by Sword Immortal Beiyuan, we can afford the loss. If Sword Immortal Beiyuan really can't hold on, let them bring back Mo Jun's descendant. Chapter 1054. All the demons nodded secretly. To the demons, a few semi-god realm warriors were nothing. Blood Demon patted his chest and said, leave this to us. There's another blood demon who broke through to the semi-god realm with us. How about we send out a dozen semi-god realm blood demons? The short demon shook his head. Why didn't the descendant of Blood Demon and Mo Jun come here when he broke through to the semi-god realm? Why did he stay in Jutian Abyss? If old Beiyuan really wants to fish, I'm afraid none of the semi-god realm blood demons you send out will come back. Blood Demon sneered. Han Ming, don't be an alarmist. It's not like we don't know about Sword Immortal Beiyuan's situation. His body died and his soul became a sword spirit hiding in the 8th level Sword Immortal Beiyuan. He can't leave that stone pillar at all. Those juniors won't be stupid enough to die. How can they be controlled by him? The commander sighed secretly. Yin demons and Yang demons had been fighting for a long time. They often fought because of a disagreement. Especially Blood Demon and Soul Devouring Demon, they were born to be enemies. Whatever Blood Demon said, the Soul Devouring Demon clan would definitely oppose and vice versa. In ancient times, there were many times when major events were delayed because of internal strife, causing the sacred clan to suffer heavy losses. If it weren't for the suppression of 10,000 Laws Demon, the two clans would be in a mess. He coughed lightly. Have you forgotten about Sword Immortal Beiyuan's second disciple? Tens of thousands of years have passed. He should be a mighty figure. I heard from those juniors that he would go to Sword Immortal Beiyuan's place every few years. Isn't it easy to capture a few juniors of the sacred clan? Blood Demon, 10,000 Laws Demon, and Soul Devouring Demon each sent out a useless semi-god realm junior. If it's really a trap, it's not a big deal. If it's not a trap, it's not a problem to take down 2 of the 3 semi-god realm demons who just passed the tribulation. At the very least, we can take down Mo Jun's descendant. Since the commander had spoken, the others didn't dare to say anything. They could only do as they were told. Soon, 3 soul formation intermediate stage demons were selected. They entered the crack and came to the depths of Jutian Abyss. At this moment, Devil Prison and Shui Quan were still refining the gifts from the tribulation. Wang Daoyuan hid near the Devil Prison, waiting for the devils to take the bait. Sword Immortal Beiyuan's voice once again rang out in his ears. What a pity. This net only caught 3 small fish. 3 divine transformation realm devils came from the outer realm. One was a myriad laws devil, one was a blood devil, and one was a soul devouring devil. They're not that strong though. They're all in the middle stage of the divine transformation realm. Wang Daoyuan whispered, Master, don't do anything. I'll let my 2 doppelgangers deal with them and see if we can catch a big fish. You can give it a try. You must have spent a lot of effort on these 2 demonic clones. They will be of great use in the future. Don't let them die here. Don't worry, Master. These 2 clones aren't ordinary at all. If there's really no other way, I'll just do it myself. If you don't do anything, they'll suspect that something is amiss, and perhaps a few Grand Ascension stage devilish beings will be drawn out. Since you're so confident, why don't you try fishing? Very soon, Wang Daoyuan sensed 3 powerful spirit energy undulations coming from the depths of absolute heaven abyss below. Not long after, 3 streaks of light appeared in his line of sight. These 3 streaks of light were blood red, pitch black, and silver respectively. Wang Daoyuan had dealt with devils quite a lot, so he could naturally recognize that these 3 streaks of light belonged to the blood devil, the soul devouring devil, and the myriad laws devil. These 3 streaks of light headed straight for the devil prison. This was a little out of Wang Daoyuan's expectations. The devil prison in Shuequan had quite a number of devil Dao magic artifacts. Coupled with their deep foundation, it shouldn't be difficult for them to fight 2 against 3. However, the place where they were undergoing their tribulations was tens of thousands of miles away. With just the devil prison, it would be very difficult to stop 3 divine transformation realm devils. Perhaps before Shuequan arrived, the devil prison would be taken down. Wang Daoyuan could only bite the bullet and take action. When the 3 streaks of light arrived in front of him, Wang Daoyuan shot out 3 Gui water divine thunders. The 3 streaks of light didn't dare to take them head-on and hurriedly dodged. The Gui water divine thunders landed on a mountain top. 3 muffled sounds were heard. With a rumble, the mountain top turned into dozens of boulders and collapsed. The 3 streaks of light revealed themselves. One of them, a white-robed cultivator, walked forward. "This human Daoyu, why are you behaving so atrociously in my sacred race's territory? I really haven't heard that this absolute heaven abyss is your devil race's territory. I'm afraid that in your eyes the entire Chen Yuan world belongs to your devil race, right? My 2 puppets are consolidating their foundation. I don't have the time to listen to your idle chatter. Either scram now or I'll kill the 3 of you vile creatures." The blood devil lineage had the most violent temper among the young devils. Now that he was being insulted by someone whose cultivation was inferior to his, how could he endure it? That blood devil turned into a streak of blood light and directly pounced over. Wang Daoyuan had a look of disdain. His body was wrapped in a layer of dragon scales. His hands turned into dragon claws. His right fist clenched into a fist and punched towards the blood light. With a rumble, the blood light flew out. A few cracking sounds came from beneath his feet. The rocks below him had cracks like a spider web. After all, the other party was a divine transformation realm blood devil. His physical strength was strong enough. His right hand was also trembling uncontrollably. That blood light crashed into a tall mountain. The entire mountain shook for a moment. The blood-red man, who was 10 feet tall, stuck to the mountain rock. When he flew down, a human-shaped pit was left on the mountain rock. The white-clothed cultivator's face turned cold. "Daoyu, good ability. The 3 of us can't take you down, but don't be too arrogant. Absolute heaven abyss is still the sacred race's territory after all." Without waiting for him to finish speaking, Wang Daoyuan's figure instantly disappeared. When he appeared again, he was already beside the blood devil. His right hand grabbed towards the blood devil's head. The blood devil turned into a streak of blood light, dodging this claw. Wang Daoyuan's left hand swung towards the blood light. The blood light was sent flying again. The last time was a head-on clash. He himself also suffered quite a bit of impact. This time, it was the blood devil's escape that was interrupted. Only the blood devil took a beating. That blood devil crashed into a small mountain. Wang Daoyuan disappeared again. Previously, the other 2 fiends did not react. This time they naturally could not watch with folded arms. He had just fled near the blood devil when a pitch-black folding fan flew over from the right. At the same time, there was also a divine sense blade descending from the sky. Wang Daoyuan gave up on attacking and turned into a streak of silver light to dodge. But this folding fan and divine sense blade did not give up. He could only bring out the white tiger blade. With a swing of the silver sword, the folding fan was sent flying and the divine sense blade shattered. Seeing the sword in his hand, the white-clothed cultivator's expression changed greatly. "You are the successor of Guiyuan Sword Immortal?" Wang Daoyuan smiled but did not speak. His whole body ignited with silver flames. These flames slowly converged towards the white tiger blade. The aura also became stronger and stronger. A sword cry like a tiger's roar sounded. Wang Daoyuan turned into a streak of silver light, slashing towards the white-clothed cultivator and the soul-devouring devil. As if facing a great enemy, the 2 fiends hurriedly used their divine abilities to dodge. A black barrier appeared on the white-clothed cultivator's body. The power inside was very strong. Wang Daoyuan did not have the confidence to break it. He turned to deal with the soul-devouring devil. This guy was also sneaky enough, using a divine ability to hide himself. Wang Daoyuan used his divine ability domain. Inside absolute heaven abyss, the power of the heavenly Daoan law was weak. The power of the divine ability was far inferior to outside. In addition, there was black chi everywhere. The spiritual chi was extremely thin. Wanting to use the domain to attack was not too realistic. But using the domain's power to search for the opponent was easy. The soul-devouring devil had nowhere to hide in the domain. A streak of silver light flashed. With a kacha sound where the silver light passed, a circular shield was split in half. Behind the shield, a thin human figure appeared. Tiny beads of blood seeped out from his neck and his head slowly slid down. A moment later, a fountain gushed out from the headless corpse. Wang Daoyuan swung his sword and nailed the head to the stone wall. The head struggled a few times before completely losing its life. Seeing him easily kill the soul-devouring devil, the white-clothed cultivator and blood devil were terrified. They did not dare to fight anymore and turned into a fleeing light, heading towards the depths of absolute heaven abyss. Wang Daoyuan did not chase either. He only recalled the white tiger blade and brought the soul-devouring devil's head over. This sword pierced through his temple and pierced through his sea of consciousness. His primordial spirit was also pierced. His life was completely annihilated by the white tiger blade sword chi. The soul-devouring devil lineage is still so useless. It's not that the soul-devouring devil is useless. It's that your domain divine ability restrains this lineage. Their concealment methods are extremely difficult to deal with, but they are useless in front of you. Good disciple, having such combat strength when you just reached early-stage soul formation. You're much stronger than Master back then. With your strength you can totally make the three of them stay. Why don't you continue to chase? If I dare to chase, that means I have something to rely on. I'm not afraid of a stronger devil's sneak attack. Letting the two of them go back means that I'm not confident. The devil's side can think that this might be a trap, but it could also be that something happened on Master's side. Plus, with a human genius like me as bait, there's still hope of catching a Mahayana devil. I've fought the devil race for many years. I have some understanding of their characteristics. The Yin devil lineage is cautious and won't be fooled easily. The Yang devil lineage will definitely want to make a move. As for whether the devil race will attack again, it'll depend on which side has the upper hand. Blood Demon and the white-robed cultivator escaped into the void outside the crack and hurried to the main hall where the upper echelons of the devil race were meeting. As soon as they entered the hall, a skinny demon asked, "Where's Devouring Wind?" He was killed by an early-stage soul formation human. That person has the sword intent of returning to origin and is extremely powerful. He broke Devouring Wind's shield and decapitated him with one strike. Devouring Wind's head tried to escape, but was nailed to the mountain rock by his sword. He lost his life right away. Shuizhe fought him with physical strength and was defeated as well. If it weren't for me and Devouring Wind, he would have been the first to die. At this moment, Blood Demon couldn't stand it anymore and shouted, "Bullshit! How can an early-stage soul formation human defeat Shuizhe with physical strength?" Shuizhe panted a few times. "Ancestor, my physical body is indeed inferior to his. That person can cover his body with dragon scales and turn his hands into dragon claws. I used an escape technique to charge at him, but he punched me and knocked me back. Then he chased after me again. I couldn't dodge completely with blood escape and was punched on the side of my waist. I couldn't even use half of my physical strength." Everyone in the hall sucked in a breath of cold air. Although the three demons sent were useless, they were all experienced mid-divine transformation stage warriors. Their opponent was only an early-stage soul formation human. 3 against 1, but they were still killed. Blood Demon smashed the table in front of him with a punch. This person's sword cultivation is extremely powerful. His physical body is even stronger than mine. He cultivates the sword intent of returning to origin and appeared in decimating heaven abyss. Maybe he's Old Man Guiyuan's disciple. To be valued by Old Man Guiyuan, he must be a peerless genius of the human race. If he's allowed to grow, another sword immortal of returning to origin might appear in the human race. Great Commander, we should attack decimating heaven abyss at all costs and kill this person. Soul-devouring devil soul cry stood up. No, killing a peerless genius of the human race and saving Mo Jun's descendant will bring great benefits. But we can't judge whether this is a trap or not. Moreover, if that person escapes with Mo Jun's descendant, what's the use of us attacking decimating heaven abyss? Do we have to attack the entire Qianyuan world? With just our manpower, it's not enough to loosen the muscles of the human race. Chapter 1055. Once this was said, the demons calmed down a little. In the Great War 70,000 years ago, the demons suffered heavy losses, and almost all of their experts died. The current higher-ups of the demons were mostly small fries back then. Of course, there were also rising stars born after the war. But in terms of strength, they were far from the power before the final war. The losses of the humans back then were much smaller. Even if they lost Sword Immortal Guiyuan, there were still many Earth Immortals who survived. Now that they had recuperated for tens of thousands of years, they could nurture another batch of powerhouses, and possibly even a few Earth immortals. Compared to back then, their strength should have improved greatly. The demons were able to preserve their lives, relying on the humans not being able to adapt to the void environment, as well as not knowing how much resources the demons had. The other demons calmed down slightly, but Blood Demon could not stand this anger. He angrily rebuked, "Han Ming, do you still have any courage? The one who died this time is your soul-devouring demon lineage, you don't even have the courage to avenge him. Over at Decimating Heaven Abyss, it might be a trap, but it might also be a heaven-sent opportunity. If it really is a heaven-sent opportunity, we can eliminate the future peerless genius of the humans, and also save Mo Jun's descendant. Great Commander, Mo Jun's descendant can be the 10,000 Laws demon." The Great Commander said in a low voice, "Stop arguing, Moen, tell us the situation back then in detail." The white-clothed cultivator cupped his hands in acknowledgement, and told everything he saw and heard back then. The Great Commander closed his eyes and pondered, "Mo Jun's descendant is actually that human brat's puppet. I wonder what's the situation with that puppet, and whether it can still be recovered. The reason why he let the sacred race come to Decimating Heaven Abyss to undergo the tribulation might be because the Heaven Origin World's will in Decimating Heaven Abyss is the weakest, and the power of the Heavenly Tribulation is even weaker. According to the situation from before, once a soul transformation realm creature appears in Decimating Heaven Abyss, it will be attacked by Sword Immortal Beiyuan. We have probed most of the places in Decimating Heaven Abyss, and this kind of situation happened. Decimating Heaven Abyss spans hundreds of millions of miles, even Sword Immortals can't attack from such a distance. So, there must be a great formation helping them. Moreover, this great formation is triggered by soul transformation realm creatures. For tens of thousands of years, the only soul transformation realm creatures that entered Decimating Heaven Abyss were Sword Immortal Guiyuan's disciple and this human in front of them. What they had in common was that they all possessed the Guiyuan sword intent. However, Mo Jun's descendant and Shui Mo's descendant did not possess the returning origin sword intent, and were actually able to undergo the tribulation in the Decimating Heaven Abyss. At this time, a very large but skinny demon stood up. "Grand Commander, could it be that Sword Immortal Guiyuan closed a portion of the array formation to help his disciple's puppet transcend the tribulation?" The breathing of the demons became heavy. They did not believe that Guiyuan's Sword Immortal was finished just like that. As for Sword Immortal Guiyuan, he had yet to take action. The fiends were worried that it was a trap and that he was waiting for them to take the bait. Now that he thought about it, it was possible that part of the formation had been shut down to give the two puppets a chance to transcend the tribulation. Blood Demon also became spirited. "If that's really the case, we can completely take the opportunity to destroy the formation that supports the origin returning sword. In the future we can enter and leave Absolute Heaven Abyss as we please." Although the demons could survive in the void, it didn't mean that they liked to stay in the void. Living in the void was detrimental to the reproduction and survival of low-level abyss devils. Comparatively speaking, the situation inside the Absolute Heaven Abyss was also much better than the endless void. If there was really a chance to break the formation of Absolute Heaven Abyss, it would definitely be a good opportunity for them. Even Han Ming nodded. "If we can really occupy Absolute Heaven Abyss, the reproduction and cultivation speed of the sacred race will increase greatly in the future. The time needed to catch up to the human race will also be greatly reduced." The demons all stared at the Grand Commander with fervent eyes, waiting for him to make a decision. The Grand Commander pondered for a long time before saying, "The risk is too great. If it really is a trap, we will all die in Absolute Heaven Abyss. At that time, our branch of the sacred race will be completely annihilated. As the Grand Commander, I can't risk my clan's resources. How about this, send a Mahayana sacred race over first. If Sword Immortal Guiyuan really closed a portion of the array formation, it will take some time to reopen it. During this time, a Mahayana sacred race will be enough to kill his early deity transformation disciple and bring back Mo Jun's descendant. If it's a trap, losing a Mahayana sacred race won't be a huge loss." The demons all nodded lightly, agreeing with the Grand Commander's decision. This choice was indeed very safe. They were only gambling with the life of a Mahayana sacred race. If they won the bet, they could kill a human race peerless genius and bring back a demon race peerless genius. An ordinary Mahayana sacred race was indeed nothing compared to two peerless geniuses. Subsequently, a gray-white shadow flew into the pitch-black crack, entering Absolute Heaven Abyss. Sword Immortal Guiyuan's voice sounded in Wang Daoyuan's ears. "Your plan worked, you really caught a big fish. A mid-stage Mahayana sacred race fiend is currently approaching you. In order to not expose himself, he did not use spatial ability. You hurry up and dodge. Wait for him to come up a bit before I make a move, lest he runs away. Hearing this, Wang Daoyuan did not dare to be negligent either. Even an early-stage Mahayana sacred race fiend was a major realm ahead of him. The higher the cultivation, the greater the gap between two realms. Even if fighting across realms, it was also impossible for him to compete with a Mahayana sacred race fiend. Moreover, the power of human cultivators was restricted here at Absolute Heaven Abyss. He also did not dare to stay any longer. Summoning Lei Peng's flying boat, he carried Devil Prison, who was still refining the gift of heavenly tribulation, onto the flying boat and fled towards Sword Immortal Guiyuan's tomb. No matter how fast Lei Peng's flying boat was, it was only a high-grade Tier 5 flying boat in the end. Just flying out several thousand kilometers, a gray light rushed over from behind, less than several hundred kilometers away from him. This distance was no different from being close to a Mahayana sacred race cultivator. He mobilized Guiyuan's sword intent, planning to resonate with his master's sword intent to resist this Mahayana sacred race fiend. At this time, Sword Immortal Guiyuan's voice sounded in his ears again. "Disciple, hurry up and dodge. I'll kill this fiend bastard." Wang Daoyuan did not dare to be negligent. His master was Qin Yuan, world's #1 person back then. Now that only his soul turned into a sword spirit, he could similarly intimidate the fiend race. He did not dare to wait for the sword light to appear before dodging. He hurriedly put away Lei Peng's flying boat, grabbed his avatar Devil Prison, and executed Silver Light Escape to dodge towards the north. At the same time that Wang Daoyuan executed Silver Light Escape, a huge white sword appeared out of thin air. This huge sword extended upwards into the 9 heavens astral wind layer. Although it looked simple and unadorned, the black gas in the decimating heaven abyss could not block this huge sword at all. The cultivators on both sides of the decimating heaven abyss could clearly see this huge sword. In an instant, the huge sword slashed down. The gray light split into two and crashed into 2 mountains. The huge sword dissipated, leaving Wang Daoyuan in a state of shock. When the sword slashed down, it was less than 50 kilometers away from him. Sword Immortal Guiyuan's sword, even the remnant force, could sweep over 1,000 kilometers. Splitting mountains and splitting rocks was nothing but an ordinary matter. If there were Yuanian cultivators here, they would not be able to protect their lives if they encountered even a little of the remnant force. Fortunately, Wang Daoyuan's physical body was strong and Sword Immortal Guiyuan had held back, so only his Taoist robe was damaged. Wang Daoyuan looked at the damaged Taoist robe on his body and complained, "Master, your sword was really powerful, disciple almost died." Haha, those cowardly demons did not dare to enter the decimating heaven abyss for tens of thousands of years, so I never really fought. Finally meeting a Mahayana demon, I could not hold back a bit. This sword slash was really satisfying. Wang Daoyuan took out his flying boat and brought his 2 clones to Sword Immortal Guiyuan's tomb. Right at this time, a figure appeared in front of Sword Immortal Guiyuan. This person had a white beard and white hair, and was even wearing a white robe. He cupped his hands towards Sword Immortal Guiyuan and said, "Brother Guiyuan, why are you throwing a tantrum, causing such a huge commotion? I could turn a blind eye to the small commotion before, but if I did not come in to take a look at this commotion, I would be neglecting my duty." Sword Immortal Guiyuan's figure appeared from the sword. "Brother Yin Yang, long time no see, you have also cultivated to become an Earth Immortal." He waved his hand. "Cultivators of the same generation have either died in battle or ascended to immortality long ago. I only became an Earth Immortal 40,000 years ago. I can be considered the latest among my generation. Brother, what are you doing? At least give me an explanation, or else I will not be able to report back." A demon brat entered the decimating heaven abyss. "I have not fought for tens of thousands of years already, so my hands were itchy and I ruthlessly killed him. The corpse is 20,000 kilometers to the east. You can go take a look if you are interested." The white-robed old man said with a smile, "Brother Guiyuan can't lie to me, there is no need to go through the trouble." Saying so, he glanced at Wang Daoyuan again. So young, his cultivation has reached deity transformation stage, his attainments in the sword Dao are not low either, truly rare. "Brother Guiyuan, is this your new disciple?" "Back then, I left some inheritances over at Beiyuan. This junior found my inheritances and even cultivated Sword Immortal Guiyuan. Later on, he entered the decimating heaven abyss to search for treasures, so I took him in as my 3rd disciple. Dao Yuan, bow to Yin Yang Formation Immortal." The title of Earth Immortal would usually be added with the thing he was most proficient in. Because Sword Immortal Guiyuan was a sword cultivator, he was called a Sword Immortal. This yin-yang formation immortal was clearly proficient in the Tao of formations. His appearance was somewhat similar to the archaic Arcanum sect's yin-yang compass artifact spirit. In addition to his title, he was most likely the first ancestor of archaic Arcanum sect, the yin-yang supreme god. Wang Daoyuan hurriedly bowed. Junior Wang Daoyuan greets yin-yang formation immortal. May I ask if Senior is the first ancestor of Beiyuan's archaic Arcanum sect, the yin-yang supreme god? Yin-yang formation immortal nodded. It is indeed me. Those juniors are worshipping the statue I left behind back then. I heard that among the juniors, there was someone with talent comparable to mine. Is that true? With this question, Wang Daoyuan was secretly delighted. This was a chance to get closer. It is true that junior of yours is called Shen Jiuxiao. He is my brother. He is now in the early Yuaning stage. Before he went through the tribulation, I helped him raise his natal artifact, the yin-yang compass, to the 5th level. A few years ago, when I helped the archaic Arcanum sect raise the yin-yang compass you left behind, he even stayed at my place for a few years. Yin-yang formation immortal laughed. Junior, you are quite clever. You are not lying. Coincidentally, I was bored these past few years, so I improved the yin-yang compass. In the Tao of formations, I have also gained some new insights. Since you have a close relationship with Jiuxiao, help me bring it over. Brother Guiyuan, lend me some spiritual energy. Guiyuan's sword immortal nodded, large amounts of spiritual energy surging from his sword. The yin-yang formation immortal shadow produced yin and yang qi, absorbing the spiritual energy. After a few breaths, a black and white compass appeared out of thin air. Without using his divine perception to examine it, Wang Daoyuan dared to conclude that it was a 5th-level magic artifact. Using spiritual energy to create a 5th-level magic artifact out of thin air, this was the true skill of an immortal. Seeing his surprised expression, Guiyuan's sword immortal laughed. Don't be surprised, for immortals, condensing qi into an object is just a small trick. Yin and yang and the 5 elements are the source of matter. With the yin and yang qi and the 5 elements spiritual energy, it is not difficult to create anything. When you cultivate to the almighty realm, it will be a piece of cake. After that, the yin-yang formation immortal spent a few more breaths of time to create a jade bamboo scroll. He handed the jade bamboo scroll and the yin-yang compass to Wang Daoyuan. This yin-yang compass is a newly improved one without the core inheritance of the archaic Arcanum sect. You will not be able to use it. Help me pass it to Shen Jiuxiao. This jade bamboo scroll contains some insights into the Tao of formations. You can make a copy. Treat it as my reward. Chapter 1056. Wang Daoyuan received the yin-yang compass and the jade letter. He was a little excited. He didn't care about the yin-yang compass. It was useless if it wasn't suitable for him. Moreover, his Yinglong devil-slaying sword could borrow Yinglong's power. It might not be any worse than the yin-yang compass. The yin-yang formation immortal gave him such an important item. It showed his trust in him. If he were to announce his identity as the son of fate one day, the possibility of the archaic mystery sect standing on his side would be higher. Senior, don't worry, Junior will definitely pass the yin-yang compass and the jade letter to Shen Jiuxiao. The yin-yang formation immortal nodded and looked at him deeply. He really is a junior with a bright future. Brother Guiyuan, I still have to report what happened in the decimating heaven abyss. I'll take my leave first. After speaking, the figure slowly faded and finally disappeared. Wang Daoyuan asked, Master, this yin-yang formation immortal should be a few 100,000 years old. You shouldn't be more than 80,000 years old. Why did he call you brother? Guiyuan's sword immortal smiled. Those earth immortal powerhouses that fought against the demon race together all called each other brothers. Although I'm young, I'm the strongest. All the earth immortal powerhouses call me brother. What does the yin-yang formation immortal mean by saying that he has to report to someone? Master has stayed in the decimating heaven abyss for tens of thousands of years. I'm not too sure about what happened outside. I only heard that the cultivation system of the Qianyuan continent seems to have some changes. There's a new realm above the earth immortal. Maybe it's because I destroyed the ancestral dragon mountain with one sword, which affected the heaven gate. The heaven gate is the passage for the Qianyuan world's cultivators to ascend to the immortal world. Now the heaven gate has been destroyed by the decimating heaven abyss. The Qianyuan world's cultivators can't ascend to the immortal world, and those earth immortals figured out some new realm. I heard all this from your second senior apprentice brother. He also just became a powerhouse. He hasn't even touched the threshold of the earth immortal realm, so he doesn't know much. In short, the yin-yang formation immortal can only be considered a second-tier expert in the Qianyuan world. There's also someone above looking after him. I told you before, There are powerhouses and earth immortals guarding the south shore of the decimating heaven abyss. The place I'm at is the most important place, that's why the earth immortals are guarding the south shore. Why do I feel that the yin-yang formation immortal has seen through me? Beiyuan sword immortal smiled and said, although this old fellow isn't very strong, no one can compare to him when it comes to prying into the secrets of the heavens. He didn't even need to use the aura examination technique. He could deduce the level of one's providence just by feeling it. I've already accepted you as my disciple to show that I'm on your side. The fact that the yin-yang array immortal saw through your identity as the son of providence and left behind a good karma means that he thinks highly of you. Take a good look at this jade slip. Who knows when it will come in handy. Thank you for your guidance, Master. Disciple understands. I have already broken through to the divine transformation realm, and my 5-element spiritual fire has also made great progress. Why don't I use the spirit fire to refine the sword for you? Beiyuan's sword immortal smiled and said, there's no need. The Qinghuan gourd you gave me previously has the rootless flame of the 5-elemental spiritual fire. When I have nothing to do, I use it to temper my sword. Now, I don't have to worry about the corrosion of impure spiritual energy. To me, there isn't much difference between a Tier 6 spirit fire and a Tier 5 spirit fire. It's fine as long as there is one. After you break through to the Mahayana realm, you can refine the sword for me. Only then will it be of some use. The commotion from before was too big. There might be other Earth Immortals coming to check it out. You should leave as soon as possible, lest the Earth Immortals with ulterior motives discover your identity. Wang Daoyuan didn't dare to stay any longer. The yin-yang array immortal was actually able to pass through the ultimate heaven abyss's formation and directly condense a clone here. The most terrifying thing was that he only used the 5-elemental spiritual energy and yin-yang qi to condense a Tier 5 magic artifact. With this kind of power, killing him was definitely not a problem. Fortunately, he didn't have any ill intentions towards him. However, there were many mighty figures and earth immortals guarding the ultimate heaven abyss. If a few of them came with ill intentions, even his master wouldn't be able to protect him. It was better to escape first. Thank you for your guidance, Master. Disciple will leave now. I'll visit you again when I'm free. After bidding farewell to Beiyuan Sword Immortal, Wang Daoyuan left this place. The demonic tribulation's gifts from the 2 demonic clones were mostly refined. The ones that weren't refined had also dissipated. Wang Daoyuan kept them into the spirit pearl space and let them slowly cultivate. He even kept the Mahayana demonic clansman's corpse while he was at it. As for that soul-devouring demon that he killed earlier, Wang Daoyuan didn't even have the interest to collect the corpse. The soul-devouring demon's body was seriously too weak. There was completely no point in collecting it. He only threw the primordial spirit into the spirit pearl space and let the 2 demonic clones slowly torment it. He flew all the way east. He flew to the east of the heaven/mountain range before leaving the ultimate heaven abyss. Wang Daoyuan originally thought that east of the heaven/mountain range, the place close to the ultimate heaven abyss was a sea, relying on the formation to forcefully hold up the seawater. He didn't expect that the place close to the ultimate heaven abyss was a mountain range that was dozens of miles wide. The rocks of this mountain range were definitely not original. They should have been formed after the ultimate heaven abyss appeared. It was just that he didn't know if these mountain ranges were naturally formed or induced by the formation. Wang Daoyuan didn't stay here for too long. He came here to find a suitable place for the ink dragon to transcend the tribulation. The spiritual energy here was too berserk. The ink flood dragon had just broken through to rank 4 currently. The pressure in this kind of environment was very great. Lei Peng's flying ship followed the east side of the heaven/mountain range and flew all the way north. Wang Daoyuan invited Zhou Wan out of the spirit pearl space. She hurriedly asked, "What's with that demonic clansman's corpse? The aura is seriously too terrifying, making me feel chills down my spine." When my 2 demonic clones were transcending the tribulation, they attracted a few demonic god realm demons. I gave them a beating. After that, a Mahayana demon was lured over. Master personally took action and hacked him alive. I thought that his corpse should still have some use, so I put it away into the space. The Mahayana demon's primordial spirit and blood essence were true treasures to demonic god realm demons. Zhou Wan nodded her head. This place is east of the heaven/mountain range? You plan on letting the ink dragon transcend the tribulation here? Yeah, let's fly further away first. The spiritual energy here is too berserk and will interfere with transcending the tribulation. The flying ship flew hundreds of thousands of miles to the north and soon arrived at a place with normal spiritual energy. He took the ink dragon out of the spirit pearl space. Ink dragon, it's time for you to transcend the tribulation. After transcending the tribulation, your bloodline will improve, and your cultivation speed will be faster in the future. At this moment, a grayish-black cloud appeared in the sky. The ink dragon was fearless. Don't worry, father. It's just a heavenly tribulation. It's nothing. With that said, he jumped off Lei Peng's flying ship and fell into the sea. When you transcend the bloodline heavenly tribulation later, if you can't beat it, just run around on the sea. If you can last for an hour, it'll be considered a success. Then Wang Daoyuan controlled the flying ship to a small plain on the coast. There was a small river here. The sand carried by the river piled up a small plain with a radius of less than 100 miles on the coast. The heaven/mountain range had abundant rainfall and a large amount of spring water. There were many small rivers like this. Unfortunately, they were too small and short to gather too much water and sand. The alluvial plain was not big either. However, a small plain like this was enough to build a decent market. Wang Daoyuan and Zhou Wan landed at the mouth of the small river. More than 300 miles away, the tribulation cloud above the ink dragon's head was rapidly expanding. Soon, the tribulation cloud grew to a diameter of 80 miles. Zhou Wan sighed. The ink dragon's tribulation cloud is almost catching up to yours. If he wasn't born in the era of the Son of Providence, he would also be a top genius. Father is a true dragon, and mother is a half-divine WRM. His talent is naturally not bad. Before he finished speaking, a bolt of lightning fell. The ink dragon did not care. He swung his tail, and a water column with a diameter of more than 10 feet went up. The power of the heavenly tribulation fell on the water column, but it did not cause much of a commotion. The divine beasts were indeed blessed by the heavens. This innate minor ability was much stronger than the minor abilities comprehended by the human race. In terms of individual strength, it was extremely rare for a human to be able to defeat a divine beast. 9 bolts of heavenly tribulation quickly fell. The ink dragon was unscathed thanks to his powerful water control minor ability. There was no obvious change in the tribulation cloud in the sky. The real test was yet to come. Soon a true dragon descended from the sky. This true dragon was more than 300 feet long, and its entire body was pitch black. The ink dragon opened its mouth and let out a dragon roar. A water column gushed out of its mouth. The water in this water column was not ordinary seawater. It was similar to the water in the Spirit Pearl space. It was condensed from the immeasurable true water. The ink dragon merged his body into the water column. The water column turned into a huge water dragon and fought with the heavenly tribulation ink dragon. For a moment, water splashed everywhere. The ink dragon had stayed in the Spirit Pearl space for hundreds of years. It only went through the tribulation a long time after breaking through to the 4th stage, so its foundation was solid enough. After fighting the heavenly tribulation ink dragon for 15 minutes, it was still only slightly at a disadvantage. It was not a fool. If it continued to fight, it might be seriously injured. It no longer fought the heavenly tribulation ink dragon head-on. Instead, it controlled the true dragon made of seawater to hide in the sea and play hide-and-seek with the heavenly tribulation ink dragon. Due to the ink dragon's bloodline, its ability to control water was similar to the heavenly tribulation ink dragon. It was extremely difficult to catch an opponent who was good at controlling water in the sea. 15 minutes passed quickly. The heavenly tribulation ink dragon turned into an ink ball and smashed into the ink dragon. The true dragon made of seawater was broken, and the ink dragon was also sent flying. However, this little guy was not seriously injured. It was rare to be able to pass the bloodline heavenly tribulation so easily. The tribulation clouds in the sky also began to change into golden clouds. The ink dragon lay on the surface of the sea comfortably, waiting for the gifts of heaven and earth to descend. 15 minutes later, golden rain fell from the sky. However, within these raindrops, there was a dense dragon chi. The ink dragon looked at these raindrops with a look of desire in its eyes. It used its divine ability and controlled the seawater to roll up all the raindrops and pull them to its side. The golden rain lasted for a full 2 hours. The ink dragon's talent also shocked Wang Daoyuan. All the gifts of heaven and earth were absorbed by the ink dragon, but it still felt a little unsatisfied. After absorbing the gifts of heaven and earth, the ink dragon flew to Wang Daoyuan's side. Father, mother, I finished transcending the tribulation. Wang Daoyuan nodded. Your talent is not bad. Your divine ability is also very powerful. In the water, it's not difficult to defeat mid-stage golden core cultivators. The ink dragon looked proud. Father, I'm not only powerful in the water. I can swallow a large amount of seawater at once. Even if I'm not in the water, I can still control the water to fight against enemies. Previously, I used the immeasurable true water to condense the water dragon. Hearing this, Wang Daoyuan's eyes lit up. The water in the spiritual pearl space was all spiritual spring water derived from the immeasurable true water. The spiritual power was rich enough, but unfortunately, it was not seawater. Cultivating corals and star-patterned sea cucumbers was always a bit lacking. This time he came to the seaside to exchange for some seawater. The ink dragon's ability to swallow water was equivalent to a water pump, which could make it a tool dragon. It swallowed a large amount of spiritual spring water in the spiritual pearl space and spat it out into the sea. Then it swallowed a large amount of seawater and transported it into the space. In this way Wang Daoyuan could have a large seawall. Wang Daoyuan ordered spirited flame in the spiritual pearl space to control the lava and create a 1,000-acre fish pond in the spiritual pearl space. Spirited flame's strength had already stabilized, so it was easy to do this job. A large amount of lava was drawn out from the lava lake. When the lava fell into the water, it quickly turned into rock. At the edge of the land, a 1,000-acre pond was created. Next, it would depend on the ink dragon's ability. Chapter 1057. Wang Daoyuan put the black dragon into the space of the spiritual pearl, and his primordial spirit also entered the space. He pointed to the pond and asked, "How long will it take to drain the water here?" The black dragon had a proud look on his face. "There's not much water here, 2 rounds is about enough." After saying that, he flew above the pond and began to swallow. A water spout immediately appeared in the pond, and a large amount of spiritual spring water was swallowed into his stomach. The water in Wang Daoyuan's 1,000-mu pond quickly dropped by more than 10 feet. The depth of the entire pond was only about 3 feet, and he swallowed half of it in one gulp. The black dragon stopped absorbing, patted his belly and burped. "The spiritual energy in this water is too strong. I didn't dare to swallow a lot before the tribulation. If I can refine it all this time, I should be able to cultivate to the mid-grade of the 4th rank. With your little body, where can you hide after swallowing so much water?" The black dragon smiled and said, "Father, you know too little about the dragon race. My dragon pearl can store a large amount of water, and when I cultivate to the 5th rank, I can swallow all the water in the entire space of the spiritual pearl. The spiritual energy in this water is extremely rich, and it's extremely beneficial to the cultivation of the water dragon race. I really can't bear to spit out so much water. I can't help it, the spiritual energy in this water is too rich, and the water is also quite special. Spatial artifacts below the 5th rank can't withstand it at all, and if too much water is stored, it will explode. If I store a little at a time, I don't know how many years it will take to finish. Anyway, there's enough spiritual spring water, you can drink as much as you want in the future. Go out and spit the water into the sea first." Directly using one's divine sense to control a large amount of water in and out of the spiritual pearl space consumed a terrifying amount of divine sense. Even with Wang Daoyuan's current cultivation, he didn't dare to try it easily. After saying that, his primordial spirit brought the black dragon out of the spiritual pearl space. The black dragon didn't spit the water directly into the sea, but flew high into the sky. Using a small divine ability, he condensed a dark cloud with a radius of more than 30 miles. A moment later, bean-sized raindrops fell from the cloud. As these raindrops fell into the sea, the demon beasts in the vicinity seemed to have gone crazy. They desperately gathered over, not fearing the aura of Wang Daoyuan and Zhou Wan at all. Wang Daoyuan sighed, "Birds die in pursuit of food and men die in pursuit of wealth. As long as the benefits are big enough, there really are people who are not afraid of death." Zhou Wan mocked, "You still have the nerve to call yourself a demon beast. Back then you dared to fight me for a piece of yin-yang purple jade. This water is transformed from the spiritual spring water produced by the immeasurable true water. It's more valuable than the yin-yang purple jade." The rain stopped after the time it took to brew a cup of tea and Mo Long flew down. Wang Daoyuan praised, "You're quite capable. No one can compare to you when it comes to watering the spirit fields." Mo Long's face was full of joy after being praised. "The Water Dragon clan has the ability to call the wind and summon the rain. My cultivation is still too low. When I reach the 6th level, I'll be able to control lightning when I call the wind and summon the rain. The power of wind, rain, thunder, and lightning is enough to heavily injure opponents of the same level. Before, I swallowed a lot of Ling power from the spiritual spring water. When I use it to call the wind and summon the rain, I can refine a portion of the Ling power and increase my cultivation. Absorbing the spiritual spring water and then using such an ability. Not only does it not use Ling power, it can also refine a portion of the Ling power. It really is worth it. Ink Dragon had a proud look on his face. Of course. I'm very interested in Ling plants. Previously, I've asked Father's doppelganger for many inheritances of Ling plant farmers. In the future, I want to become the #1 Ling plant farmer in Beiyuan Xiaoxian. While he didn't want to discourage him, Wang Daoyuan still told him the cruel truth. Your third sister Wang Mingxian has the Yi Wood spiritual physique. She's even more talented than Supreme Divinity Greenwood of the Valley of Beasts. In the past, Supreme Divinity Greenwood was the only level 8 Ling plant farmer in the entire Qianyuanjia. No one could compare to him. Mingxian's talent is even better than Supreme Divinity Greenwood. Are you sure you can compare to her? Mo Long stilled and felt that the hope wasn't high. Then in the future I'll be the #2 Ling plant farmer in Beiyuan. It's fine as long as I can beat others. Alright, after you take human form, you can go to the family's 100 Arts Hall to learn the inheritances of Ling plant farmers. In the future, if you look at more inheritances like this, it won't be a problem for you to become the #2 Ling plant farmer in Qianyuanjia. Father, don't worry. I won't disappoint you. After encouraging Mo Long for a long time, Wang Daoyuan was a bit excited. After raising so many Ling beasts, there was finally one that was willing to do proper work. The Thunder Ape only liked to fight and drink. While it could make wine, it didn't make as much wine as he drank himself. Golden Wing was still level 2 and couldn't help at all. Yuni was lazy and gluttonous. The Red-Winged Crow wasn't interested in anything other than cultivation. Wang Minglong had learned bad things from Yuni. While he hadn't done anything bad, he often did some small damage. Now that he finally had a diligent child, he had to raise him well. Wang Daoyuan's primordial spirit brought Mo Long into the space of the spirit pearl again. Suck up the water in the pond and slowly refine it. I'll just use a spatial artifact to transfer the seawater in from the outside. A level 4 spatial artifact couldn't carry the spirit spring water produced by the immeasurable primordial water, but it was easy to carry ordinary seawater. Mo Long swallowed the spirit spring water in the pond again. Soon the pond dried up, revealing the rock layer below. Then, he flew to the side of the immeasurable primordial water and started to refine the spirit spring water in his stomach. Wang Daoyuan gave Liao Yang and Qin Jiaoyi a few level 4 universe rings and sent them out of the spirit pearl. The two took the universe rings and went to the seaside to fill them with seawater. Wang Daoyuan put the universe rings filled with seawater into the spirit pearl and poured the seawater into the pond. In less than 15 minutes, the pond was filled with seawater. His clone also connected the seawall where the star-patterned sea cucumbers had been raised with the newly built seawall. In the southeast of the spirit pearl, a seawall of more than 1,000 acres appeared. The living space of the star-patterned sea cucumbers had increased by more than 10 times, and there should be more of them in the future. When his primordial spirit left the space, there were still many demonic beasts fighting for the spirit energy in the water on the surface of the sea. Wang Daoyuan looked at this scene and said with a smile, "I've thought of another way to make money." Zhou Luan was stunned for a moment and then reacted, "You mean to sell the spirit spring water?" Princess is really smart. Although the water in the spirit pearl is not as good as when it was first produced, it still contains a lot of level 6 spirit energy. This thing can be sold for a lot of spirit stones in the Sea of 7 Stars. In Beiyuan Xiaoxian it's a rare treasure. It can be used to nurture magic artifacts, to refine the essence of spiritual herbs when refining elixirs, and to quench the fire when refining weapons. In the hands of water-type cultivators, it can also be used to improve their cultivation. Hearing Wang Daoyuan's praise, Zhou Luan looked satisfied. You have good taste. Are we going back next? Wanchuan Merchant Guild has already been settled. There's nothing to do when we go back. Master killed the Mahayana demon, it caused a huge commotion. The ancestor of Archaic Mysteries sect, the Yin-Yang Formation Immortal, appeared and asked for the reason. After knowing that I have a good relationship with Archaic Mysteries sect, he asked me to pass some things to you. Let's go to Archaic Mysteries sect. You can also borrow the Tower of Archaic Mysteries to modify your cultivation technique. The two of them boarded the flying boat and headed north. After reaching Linhai Prefecture, they followed the Wanchuan River to the west. After a few days they finally arrived at Archaic Mysteries Mountain. Archaic Mysteries sect also attached great importance to the arrival of the two strongest people in Beiyuan Xiaoxian. Daoist Xiantian and Xian Jiuxiao came to welcome them together. Wang Daoyuan and Zhou Luan got off the flying boat. Daoist Xiantian went up to greet them. After not seeing you for a few years, Martial Nephew Daoyuan's cultivation seems to have improved a lot. Wang Daoyuan and Zhou Luan also performed the disciple salute. Martial Uncle Shantian, I went to Decimating Heaven Abyss before coming here. Now, I have an extremely confidential matter to discuss with Archaic Mysteries Sect. Martial Uncle, please arrange a secret room. Other than the Yuanian cultivators of Archaic Mysteries Sect, no one else is allowed to be present. Seeing how serious he was, Taoist Shantian did not dare to underestimate him. Jiuxiao, go and inform the other Yuanian cultivators. Xian Jiuxiao bowed and acknowledged. Taoist Shantian smiled, follow me to the secret room at the back of the mountain. Wang Daoyuan and Zhou Wan followed Taoist Shantian to a secret room at the back of Archaic Mysteries Sect. The other 3 Yuanian cultivators of Archaic Mysteries Sect were also waiting in the secret room. These 3 people were also from Taoist Xuantian's generation. Wang Daoyuan bowed to them one by one. Previously, I caused a huge commotion in Decimating Heaven Abyss and alerted the guards at the south bank of Decimating Heaven Abyss. Coincidentally, this guard is the ancestor of Archaic Mysteries Sect Yin-Yang Formation Immortal. Hearing this, the 5 Yuanian cultivators of Archaic Mysteries Sect were shocked. Taoist Shantian asked, Old Ancestor has become an earthly immortal? Even Yin-Yang Ancestor revealed himself with a sorrowful expression. Old Master has finally become an immortal. Back then, his talent was the worst among that batch of powerful beings. Seeing Dao Yu break through to the earthly immortal stage one by one, he was extremely envious but helpless. In the end, he decided to travel the world in search of opportunities to break through. For the safety of Archaic Mysteries Sect, he left me in Archaic Mysteries Sect and left by himself. Now there has been no news of him for over 80,000 years. Now he has finally broken through to the earthly immortal stage. Wang Daoyuan nodded. Senior Yin-Yang Formation Immortal had already broken through to the earthly immortal stage over 30,000 years ago. However, because of the obstruction of Decimating Heaven Abyss, he could not return. He knew that I was familiar with Archaic Mysteries Sect and also knew about Brother Jiuxiao, so he asked me to pass these 2 items to Brother Jiuxiao. After speaking, he took out the Yin-Yang compass and the jade letter. This Yin-Yang compass was modified by the Yin-Yang Formation Immortal after he became an immortal. Without the core inheritance of Archaic Mysteries Sect, one would not be able to open this compass. This jade letter recorded the array inheritance of Senior Yin-Yang Formation Immortal. He asked me to make a copy of it as a reward for passing these items over. I've already made a copy, so I'll pass these 2 items to you. The people of Archaic Mysteries Sect felt that this was inconceivable. Reverend Heaven Glimpse was slightly stunned. He muttered, Archaic Mysteries Sect also has an earthly immortal's inheritance now. Reverend Shen Tian received the 2 items while Yin-Yang Ancestor took a closer look at this grade 5 compass. This is indeed Old Master's work. Although tens of thousands of years have passed and his methods have changed, his style has not changed. Wang Daoyuan smiled. Senior Yin-Yang Formation Immortal said that if the younger generation prayed to the statue he left behind, he would be able to hear it. Now that I've delivered the items, you can inform him. Zhou Wan needs to borrow the Tianji Pagoda, so I won't disturb you any further. Reverend Shen Tian hurriedly said, No problem. Although the Tianji Pagoda is an Archaic Mysteries Sect, it's owned by Beiyuan. The token that I gave you earlier can open the Tianji Pagoda. Wang Daoyuan nodded and left the back mountain with Zhou Wan. They entered the Tianji Pagoda. Reverend Shen Tian handed the grade 5 Yin-Yang compass to Shen Jiuxiao. This is specially given to you by Ancestor. Try to open it. Shen Jiuxiao took the compass and injected his own spiritual power into it. At the same time he also injected the Yin and Yang Qi. The grade 5 Yin-Yang compass shone brightly. The Tai Chi diagram on the surface of the compass separated and thousands of rays of golden light shone out. Then, these rays of light condensed into golden words. These words were extremely mysterious. The 5 of them stared at these golden words for a long time, but they could not recognize a single word. Just as they were in a hurry to record it, these words entered Shen Jiuxiao's mind. Shen Jiuxiao was stunned. Reverend Shen Tian hurriedly transmitted a message to the others. Ancestor does not want others to know about this inheritance, so he directly gave it to Jiuxiao. Let's leave first so as not to disturb him. Chapter 1058. In the Heavenly Mystery Pagoda, Zhou Wan came to the 6th floor to find a mighty figure with a similar cultivation technique to help her deduce it. Her original cultivation technique was created by her ancestor, Perfected Qi Luan. Perfected Qi Luan was only at the peak of the Golden Core realm. After receiving the inheritance of the Valley of Beasts, she changed her cultivation technique to that of the Vermilion Bird Hall. Most of the cultivation techniques of the Vermilion Bird Hall were related to fire and phoenixes. However, Zhou Luan's phenomenon was Qi Luan, which was not considered very strong among the phoenixes. Although she had the ability to control fire, all phoenixes with fire attributes were experts at playing with fire. The Qi Luan phenomenon was not valued in the Vermilion Bird Hall back then, so there were no outstanding figures. The cultivation techniques left behind were also very ordinary. At most, it was a soul formation cultivation technique. As the second soul formation cultivator of the Wang family, Zhou Luan's cultivation was second only to Wang Daoyuan. In the future, she would have to contribute greatly in the War of Providence. If she was too weak, she would not have much combat power. Therefore, it was best to find a mighty figure with a similar cultivation technique to help her deduce it. In the end, she sat cross-legged under Divine Venerable Li Hua's inheritance. Divine Venerable Li Hua was one of the mighty figures of the Valley of Beasts. He was also a mighty figure who had awakened the Nanming primordial fire. He was once the Vermilion Bird Hall master of the Valley of Beasts. Wang Mingqian's cultivation technique was left behind by him. The vermilion birds were also phoenixes. Although the Nanming primordial fire was very different from Zhou Luan's Qi Luan nirvana fire, there were still many similarities. Naturally, he was the most suitable person to guide her. Wang Daoyuan was on the 4th floor of the Heavenly Mystery Pagoda, comprehending the array formation inheritance of the Yin-Yang array immortal. The jade slip from before was indeed created by an earth immortal. Could contain a lot of content. Ordinary jade slips could only contain tens of thousands of words. Wang Daoyuan could refine a more advanced jade slip, but it was not worth the cost. The jade slip that the Yin-Yang array immortal created out of thin air contained a lot of content. It was comparable to a beast skin book. He asked his clone to copy the content of the jade slip and used more than 50 beast skin papers. This array formation inheritance was not a complete inheritance. It was more like his own comprehension. There was no way to set up a low-level array formation, only a record of his own understanding and some of the more unique array formations. Wang Daoyuan's current array formation skills were only at the upper grade of the 5th level. Looking at the array immortal's inheritance, he was still a little lacking. However, he was very interested in the teleportation array recorded in the inheritance. It was just the simplest teleportation array, which generally required an early Deshang stage cultivator to arrange. If he was proficient in the laws of space, he might be able to set it up in the late stage of the soul formation realm. However, the simplest teleportation array did not have much meaning. Teleporting tens of thousands of miles away would consume a lot of spirit stones. It would be better to take a flying boat. The inheritance of the Valley of Beasts also mentioned the teleportation portal. It was just that the Valley of Beasts was not particularly proficient in the Tao of arrays. Teleportation arrays were also relatively simple. At most, he could teleport a distance of about 1,000,000 miles. This wasn't weak in Beiyuan Xiuxian, but if he wanted to connect Beiyuan and the Sea of 7 Stars, the difference was huge. In the middle, he would need to build hundreds of teleportation portals to connect the two cultivation worlds. A 1,000,000-mile teleportation portal would require at least the lower grade of the 7th level materials, and they had to be spatial materials. With Wang Daoyuan's wealth, it was impossible for him to get so many materials to build hundreds of teleportation portals. Therefore, when he wanted to connect the Sea of 7 Stars and Beiyuan, he did not plan to build a teleportation portal. The cost of building a transit station was also relatively high. He might need to build thousands of them. However, building a transit station did not require any precious materials. He just needed to find a few suitable places to build a city. The cultivators of the Wanchuan Chamber of Commerce or the Wang family lived in these places. They could also mine, hunt demons and so on to generate income. After the two cultivation worlds were connected, this would be a trade route. It was needless to say how great the benefits of monopolizing a trade route were. In the inheritance of the Yin-Yang Array Immortal, it was recorded that a Grade 8 teleportation portal could teleport across hundreds of millions of miles. For example, the teleportation portal between the Qixing Sea of Xiuxian community and the Blue Dragon ruins was of this level. However, the difficulty of setting it up was too high. It was impossible to set it up under the Almighty stage. Moreover, the materials needed to set it up were at least Grade 8 spatial attribute materials. Even the Valley of Beasts back then could not afford such a teleportation portal. Wang Daoyuan did not have any improper thoughts. It would be good enough if he had the time to set up a 1,000,000-mile teleportation portal. If he placed it on the Earth Flame Islands of the Sea of 7 Stars, he could teleport to other islands and do business easily. In addition to the teleportation portal, there was another extremely special array recorded in the inheritance of the Yin-Yang Array Immortal. This array was called the Mirror Image Array, also known as the Mother-Child Array. It could be said that this array was beyond his knowledge. After checking the Almighties on this level, Wang Daoyuan walked to the inheritance of the Yin-Yang Divine Supreme. The Yin-Yang Divine Supreme was the one who led the construction of the Heaven's Mystery Tower back then. Naturally, he had to leave his inheritance behind. The array he wanted to study now was also from the Yin-Yang Array Immortal. It was best to ask him for advice. Wang Daoyuan used his divine consciousness to explore the soul crystal in front of him. Soon he arrived at a secret room. This secret room was quite spacious. There was also a fire eye and a crafting furnace. Array masters needed to craft array discs, array flags, and other items. Therefore, array masters were all craftsmen. It was just that their standards were different. Beside the crafting furnace sat an old man with white hair and a youthful face. He looked exactly the same as the Yin-Yang Array Immortal he saw in the Absolute Heaven Abyss. Wang Daoyuan went forward and cupped his hands. Junior Wang Daoyuan, Divine Weapon Pavilion's in-name disciple of the Cauldron lineage. Greetings, Senior. The Yin-Yang Divine Supreme glanced at him. Junior, you're quite powerful. Your divine consciousness, chi, blood, and spirit power are all extremely dense. The Divine Weapon Pavilion's Cauldron lineage actually only made you an in-name disciple. Is Beiyuan Xiuxin now so strict in accepting disciples? I see that there's a sharp aura on your body. It seems to be an extremely special sword intent. You're also a sword cultivator. Guiyuan's sword immortal was less than 80,000 years old, and this divine consciousness imprint was left behind 80,000 years ago. He did not know Guiyuan's sword immortal's entire person. Wang Daoyuan cupped his hands and said, before this disciple became a disciple, I already had a suitable cultivation technique for myself. Master Lei Yanjinren did not have a more suitable cultivation technique for me, so he did not take me in as a personal disciple. In addition, I'm also Guiyuan's sword immortal's disciple. Master rose to prominence 70,000 years ago. This divine consciousness imprint of yours does not recognize him. The Yin-Yang Divine Supreme nodded. I see. Junior, how are your attainments in the Tao of Formations? What do you want to ask? Wang Daoyuan took out a beast skin book and handed it to the Yin-Yang Divine Supreme. Junior's attainments in the Tao of Formations are low. I can only set up level 5 upper grade formations. What I want to know is all in here. The Yin-Yang Divine Supreme took the beast skin book and carefully examined its contents. After looking at it for a long time, his expression turned serious. Why do these things look so familiar? Are they left behind by my main body? I got these from Senior's main body. He asked me to bring some things to your Junior. These formation insights were left behind by him for me. By the way, Senior, your main body is now an Earth Immortal. The Yin-Yang Divine Supreme's face was full of joy. My dream of tens of thousands of years has finally come true. No wonder this formation insight is so much more advanced than the one I left behind. So it was set up after becoming an immortal. There are some things I cannot understand in this formation insight left behind by your main body. Especially this mother and child formation. It's too profound. The Yin-Yang Divine Supreme looked at it for a long time before saying, I've been thinking about this formation insight ever since I became a Grand Immortal. Later, I went to find many Grand Immortals and Earth Immortals who were good at formations to study this formation insight. From the looks of it, my main body had succeeded. There were many things I had doubts about back then, but they were all solved when I saw this. It's too difficult to study this formation insight. Don't be fooled by your early soul formation cultivation and powerful divine consciousness. It's still very difficult to understand these things. With your current cultivation, you'll be able to set up a small mother and child formation. You're still far from being able to set up a large one. Back then, I came up with this mother and child formation to make up for the high cost of setting up a large formation insight. Take the Great Mountain Barrier Formation for example. Even for a Grand Immortal, it's very difficult to set up a formation insight that stretches for thousands of miles. Moreover, the materials and experience needed to set up a formation insight are too terrifying. Especially when setting up a high formation insight, the materials needed to set up the formation insight are also very high quality. Even a great force with hundreds of thousands of years of history is not willing to bear this price. So, I thought that if I could set up an extremely advanced formation insight, and then condense a mirror image of this formation insight, then I'd only need to use a set of materials and a set of energy to display the effects of dozens or even hundreds of formations. This formation insight is also called mother and child formation. The formation insight that's actually set up with materials is called mother formation. As for the mirror image array formations that were reflected, they were called subarrays. These formation insights require frequent maintenance to be able to function stably. The biggest advantage of formation insights is that it's relatively easy to maintain. You only need to maintain the mother formation. If the mother formation is intact, the child formation will also be intact. Hearing this, Wang Daoyuan fell into deep thought. The defensive formation inside of Absolute Heaven Abyss's northern bank seemed to be set up this way. He left Absolute Heaven Abyss from the east of Heavenly/Mountain Range previously and discovered that the formation insight over there was virtually no difference with the formation insight west of Absolute Heaven Abyss. The formation insight west of Heavenly/Mountain Range had the Divine Weapon Pavilion and Tai Sword Sect maintaining it. Persisting for several tens of thousands of years was nothing strange too. But the formation insight east of Heavenly/Mountain Range had no one maintaining it. If it were over 50,000 years ago, the Valley of Beasts might still go and maintain it. But the Valley of Beasts had already perished for several tens of thousands of years. The formation insight without anyone maintaining it for several tens of thousands of years should have long been damaged and incomplete. With the formation insight incomplete, the fiend race should have long entered Absolute Heaven Abyss. Yet, the situation of the fiend race's large-scale invasion did not occur. Furthermore, Absolute Heaven Abyss extended all the way from Beiyuan Xiuxian to the east of Qixing Sea Xiuxian community. Separated by the vast sea in between, it was impossible to have people maintaining the formation insight everywhere. In the past he always felt that it was rather strange. But limited by his knowledge he did not figure out the reason either. Looking at it now, what was set up should be a mirror formation. Senior, how does this formation insight form a mirror formation and still maintain its power? According to my guess, the formation insight over at Absolute Heaven Abyss should be a mirror formation. Back then when the fiend race invaded, in order to kill the fiend race, my master, Guiyuan Sword Immortal, severed Ancestral Dragon Mountain with a sword. The northernmost corner of Qinyuan continent separated, forming a new cultivation world. This Absolute Heaven Abyss continuously extended to the east and west. Now, it has already reached the Qixing Sea Xiuxian community hundreds of millions of miles away. Such a large-scale formation insight, only a few 100,000 miles of formation insight is often maintained by cultivators. This portion should be the mother formation, the rest are all child formations. But the child formations can actually extend for hundreds of millions of miles, truly inconceivable. Reverend Yin Yang answered, forming a mirror formation insight is not difficult. It only needs to add the mirror formation law into the formation insight. The difficult part is maintaining the child formation's power. A mother formation can give birth to dozens or even hundreds of child formations. However, the child formation's power will be far inferior to the mother formation. The further the child formations are from the mother formation, the weaker their power. From this beast skin book, it can be seen that the method of receiving formation is used to increase the child formation's power. Where there are child formations, a simple receiving formation is set up and fused with the child formations. The child formations can borrow the receiving formation's power to increase the formation insight's power. Chapter 1059. Wang Daoyuan didn't understand. If he were to set up an array to increase the power of the subarrays, then the array would also need to be maintained. From the North Abyss to the South Wasteland, millions of miles of sea area, how many guiding formations would be needed? Even if the array was simpler, it wouldn't be easy to set it up. Senior, doesn't the array also need to be maintained? The yin-yang deity shook his head. No, the array is very simple. You just need to mobilize the power of heaven and earth and use the spirit vein as the core of the array. Unless there is a great disturbance in heaven and earth or the spirit vein collapses. Otherwise, the array won't have too many problems. The only problem is that to mobilize the power of heaven and earth, you need to have an extremely high control of the power of laws. To set up the array with the spirit vein as the core, you need to modify the spirit vein. This requires extremely high talent, which is very difficult for ordinary array masters to do. With your cultivation and talent, you meet the minimum requirements. You can give it a try. Since you're here, I'll help you improve your array skills. After reaching the 6th level, there would be another great change in the artifact and talisman arrays. Tool inscriptions would become restrictions, talisman inscriptions and array inscriptions would also become restrictions. After all, the 4 inscriptions of the tool inscriptions and array inscriptions all had their fatal flaws, and some of the functions were difficult to achieve with the tool inscriptions. Introducing the inscriptions of law could make up for the flaws and add many functions. Also, the inscriptions of law could mobilize the power of laws. Without the power of laws, the Dharma artifacts and arrays couldn't mobilize much of the power of laws and couldn't exert much power. After Wang Daoyuan reached the Soul Formation realm, his spiritual sense had improved by leaps and bounds, and he could stay in the illusion for a long time. 2 days later, Xian Jiuxiao finally woke up in the secret chamber behind the archaic Arcanum sect. Immortal Shen had been waiting outside the whole time. Through the array, he sensed that Xian Jiuxiao had woken up, so he quickly entered the secret chamber. Jiuxiao, what did the forefather give you? The forefather has modified his cultivation method in the past tens of thousands of years. It's much more advanced than before and it's very compatible with my astral battle body. My spells have also been improved a lot, especially the aura examination spell, which is much more advanced than before. In addition, there's also the way to improve the yin-yang compass. If I can fully comprehend the legacy that forefather gave me, it should be easier for me to cultivate to the earthly immortal realm in the future. The astral battle body was an extremely rare constitution, even rarer than the sword body. With this constitution, one could borrow the power of the stars to cultivate. The power of the stars could be used to strengthen the body and the soul. After breaking through Yuanying, it could also be used to strengthen Yuanying. For Yuanying to break through to the divine transformation realm, pure yin and pure yang were not the only things that could help her. After all, the source of stellar energy was yin and yang qi. The power of the 6th level stars could also have the same effect. In fact, the effect of refining the Yuanying was even stronger than that of the pure yin and pure yang qi. Taoist Shen had a satisfied look on his face. Everyone wanted their children to be successful, and cultivators were no exception. The spiritual energy in Beiyuan Xiaoshen is still not enough. It may drag down your cultivation in the future. You have such good talent so you can't waste it. In Beiyuan Xiaoshen, only Wang Daoyuan has the ability to go to other cultivation realms and obtain 6th level spiritual items. If you don't rely on him, you can only stop at the peak of Yuanying in this life. In the future you have to try to get closer to the Yen Kingdom. Only then will you have the hope of breaking through to the divine transformation realm. Xian Jiuxiao said solemnly, Father, in the forefather's magic artifact, other than the legacy, it also said something else. This time, 2 demons broke through to the divine transformation realm at the divine transformation realm, but they were not attacked. Then a Mahayana demon was attracted, and it was killed by Guiyuan's sword Immortal's soul. This sword caused a huge commotion. The forefather was guarding the south of the divine transformation realm. After seeing this sword, he entered the divine transformation realm. Guiyuan's sword Immortal didn't hide anything and admitted that Wang Daoyuan was his personal disciple. Also, the forefather felt that the majestic fate in his body was even stronger than Guiyuan's sword Immortal's. Taoist Shen Tian was stunned. Guiyuan's sword Immortal was one of the sons of fate back then. In the end, he laughed until the end and became the leader of the human race. Wang Daoyuan's fate is stronger than his. Could it be that he is also a son of fate? Xian Jiuxiao nodded. The forefather thought so too. It's just that his fate is ridiculously strong, far surpassing all the sons of fate that the forefather had seen before. However, the forefather had never heard of a son of fate appearing in the Qinyuan continent. Therefore, the forefather didn't dare to make a conclusion. He just gave us a reminder. We had our suspicions a few years ago, but we didn't dare to confirm it. However, people with great luck can either be dealt with early on or can only be on good terms with them. Now that he is already a divine transformation realm cultivator and has the support of Guiyuan's sword Immortal, even the forefather doesn't dare to touch him. He even gave him the formation insights and formed good karma. We can only have a good relationship with him. We can't have a bad relationship with him. Wang Daoyuan's means are not weak. Now, Beiyuan and other countries are already in his pocket. Coupled with the inheritance of the Valley of Beasts, the entire Beiyuan Xiaoshen is already his. Next, he should use the power of his subordinates to infiltrate other cultivation worlds. Xian Jiuxiao asked, then what should we do? Since we can't be enemies with him, why don't we join him? Wang Daoyuan was born in Beiyuan. His foundation is not as good as those sons of fate who were born in the Qinyuan continent. However, he is not an easy person to deal with. He may not be unable to win in the future. Don't worry. He has the inheritance of the Valley of Beasts, so he naturally knows about this. Being born in Beiyuan is a great disadvantage. If he wants to reverse the situation, he will definitely go all out to open up other cultivation worlds. When he takes over another cultivation world, he will definitely migrate his people there. There is no clear son of fate on the Qinyuan continent yet. The battle of fate is still far away. We don't need to be in a hurry to take sides. It won't be too late for us to join him when he takes over another cultivation world. Xian Jiuxiao nodded. Then let's do it this way. I can only cultivate part of the things that the ancestor gave me. Most of the core disciples can cultivate it. I will record it first. Wang Daoyuan and Zhou Wan were still immersed in the illusion. More than a month later, the two of them woke up one after another. Wang Daoyuan's attainments in array formations had already reached the low grade of the 6th stage. He was not far from the mid-grade of the 6th stage. When he woke up, he found that Zhou Wan was already waiting for him. Princess, how is the deduction of the cultivation technique? It has been completely deduced. I just added some fire-controlling abilities to the original cultivation technique. It is not difficult for the Lihua divinity. Now that my cultivation technique has been cultivated to the Mahayana realm, I need to figure out the method of fusing immortal power myself. Although all the power that was fused with the essence, qi, and spirit was called immortal power, the immortal power of different cultivators was different. After all, everyone's cultivation technique was different. Naturally, there would be differences in spirit power. The strength of the physical body was different, so was the qi and blood. The strength of the primordial spirit was different, so was the strength of the spiritual sense. These were all different. Naturally, there were also elementary methods of fusing immortal power. The methods of the predecessors could only be used as a reference. As for what to do, it was still up to him to deduce it himself. Wang Daoyuan did not ask these seniors to help him deduce the cultivation technique. No earth immortal in the world relied on other people's cultivation techniques to break through. After reaching the Mahayana realm, it was better to deduce the cultivation technique himself. No matter how high the cultivation of others was, it was impossible for them to understand him better than he did. As for Zhou Wan, with her talent, it was already very difficult for her to cultivate to the almighty realm. It was very difficult for her to break through to the earth immortal realm. It was very necessary to find a senior to help deduce the cultivation technique now. The two of them left the heavenly mystery tower. Daoist Shen-Tian and Shen Jiuxiao hurried over to greet them. Daoist Shen-Tian smiled. Martial nephew Daoyuan must have had a big breakthrough after entering the Heaven's Mystery Tower. Wang Daoyuan also cupped his hands and bowed. Martial uncle, you are too kind. I have only made small improvements. I will return to Yen country to cultivate in seclusion. Then he took out a jade bottle. Brother Jiuxiao is a water attribute cultivator. This is spirit spring water produced by grade 6 spirit water. It is very beneficial for his cultivation. I have troubled you for more than a month. Please accept my small gift. Daoist Shen-Tian hurriedly declined. How can I accept this? Grade 6 spirit spring water may be a small thing to you, but to us, it is too precious. No need to be so polite. The West Sea is Beiyuan's biggest weakness. The Heaven's Mystery sect is the main force guarding against the West Sea. Helping Brother Jiuxiao increase his strength is also for the sake of the human race. The two did not decline anymore. Shen Jiuxiao accepted the spirit spring water and thanked him again. Wang Daoyuan and Zhou Wan left the Heaven's Mysteries sect and quickly returned to Qingli City. When they arrived at the imperial study, Wang Mingchen hurriedly bowed. Zhou Wan took out a jade slip. Mingchen, no need to be so polite. This is a secret technique passed down from ancient times. It is called the Nanming Fire Accumulation Technique. Although you already have the inheritance of the divine venerable Li Hua, you can learn from this technique. Wang Mingchen accepted the jade slip. Thank you, mother. Wang Daoyuan asked. Blood Shadow has been integrated into the Wanchuan Chamber of Commerce for more than 2 months. How is it now? The situation at the Bibo Sea branch has been stabilized. All the resources are under the control of the family disciples. The headquarters of the Chamber of Commerce has copied some of Blood Shadow's organizations. The original Blood Shadow elders have mostly continued to be the Hall Master and Deputy Hall Master. The ordinary disciples of Blood Shadow have been scattered in various branches and industries. Their salary and benefits are about 5 times more than before. There will be no problem. Also, the Qin Kingdom has allowed the Wanchuan Chamber of Commerce to do business in the Qin Kingdom after receiving the magic weapon refined by my father. Whether it is opening shops or acquiring industries, there are no restrictions. After the Qin Kingdom agreed, the small countries did not dare to have any objections. Now, the Wanchuan Chamber of Commerce has entered all the countries in Beiyuan. Wang Daoyuan nodded slightly. That is good. Beiyuan has begun to integrate the various countries. Next, we will deepen the Wanchuan Chamber of Commerce's influence in the various countries and lay the foundation for integrating all the forces in Beiyuan in the future. Your mother and I will not stay in Beiyuan Xiuxin forever. Soon we will go to the Sea of 7 Stars again. Find some capable disciples from the family. I will bring them to the Earth Flame Archipelago in the Sea of 7 Stars. The mountain is high and the road is long. The disciples I bring must be at least in the foundation establishment stage. I'll start the preparations right away. I've also started the construction of the transit station. In the past few years, Snow Dragon City at the edge of the Arctic ice field has been completely controlled. The demons in the city have been purged. Now the city is dominated by humans and there are many half-demons. After stabilizing Snow Dragon City, I sent people to find a suitable place at the northernmost end of the Sky Beheading Mountain range to build the first transit station. Now the Dragon Scale City has been built in the Hidden Dragon Mountain area. Because it is in the Sky Beheading Mountain range, it is nourished by non-attributed spiritual power. It is not like Snow Dragon City, which is covered by wind and snow all year round. Therefore there are many rogue cultivators who go there to make a living. Now it has begun to take shape. I have also begun to send people to explore the east to find a suitable place to build the next transit station. It is just that there have been spirit demons near Snow Dragon City. I am worried that they will attack there. The means of spirit demons are unpredictable. It is too difficult to guard against them. Wang Daoyuan said with a smile, "It doesn't matter. After dealing with the demons, I plan to deal with the spirit demons. Even if they don't do anything, I won't let them go." Chapter 1060. Through the memories of the doppelganger Huning, he knew that the spirit demon's base was in the Soul Society. However, the spirit demon clan's secret methods were pretty good. Even Huning didn't know the exact location of the spirit domain. He only knew that the spirit domain was in the depths of the frozen ice fields, but the frozen ice fields were boundless. The Soul Society was most likely a special secret territory. To find a secret territory in the ice plains was harder than ascending to heaven. However, even if he could not find the spirit domain, he could still find the place where the spirit domain resided. The spirit demons did not live together. The patriarch and elders lived in the spirit domain, but most of the spirit demons were scattered everywhere. Although these spirit demons did not know the exact location of the Soul Society, they had a way to contact the Soul Society. He took out more than 10 jade bottles and said, "Mingchen, when your mother and I were traveling in the Qixing Si Xiuxing community, we obtained some level 6 spiritual water. This was the rootless water produced by the spiritual water, which could be left for the clan's water-type cultivators. This water was extraordinary. Ordinary spatial artifacts could not store too much of it. Wait till I refine a Tier 5 spatial artifact, I can keep some more spirit water and sell it at will in the future. Your Imperial Mother and I will make a trip to the Arctic ice plains. We need to hurry up with the selection of manpower and the establishment of the transfer station." Following that, Wang Daoyuan and Zhou Wan left Qingli City and boarded Lei Peng's flying boat, heading north. Right now there was an endless stream of rogue cultivators coming and going in Shanbei. Apart from the depths of the desert where there wasn't even an oasis, there were rogue cultivators everywhere. Snow Dragon City, which was located at the border of the Arctic ice plains, was also exceptionally prosperous. Although it had only been a few years since the demons were dealt with, this place had already become the territory of the human race. The Arctic ice plains was rich in soul consciousness-type spirit herbs. There were even quite a few spirit herbs that could repair damaged souls. These spirit herbs were extremely precious and hard to find elsewhere. Therefore, there were many rogue cultivators who wanted to enter the frozen ice plains to try their luck. Snow Dragon City was the main route from the North Mountain to the ice field. Naturally, it was bustling with people. The flying boat didn't stop here and just flew past nearby. As they headed north, the deeper they went into the extreme frost icy plains, the shorter the heaven/mountain range became. In the end, the mountain peak fell below the 9 heavens astral wind layer. The heavenly/mountain range to the north was called the Hidden Dragon Mountain. Although the mountain here was not very high, the heaven/mountain range's spirit vein still extended to the north. The spirit chi here was still extremely dense. Furthermore, the spirit veins of the heavenly/mountain range had no attributes. The cold wind that blew from the depths of the Arctic ice plains did not have much of an effect here. Although this place was colder than most places in the north of the mountain, it was not as cold as the 10,000 miles ice field. There were many green pines and cypresses on the mountain, as well as all kinds of spiritual plants. In a mountain basin with a radius of more than 300 miles, there was a tall city. This was the Dragon Scale City, which had recently been built by the Yen Kingdom. The shape of this basin did indeed look like a dragon's scale. In the past, when the demon clan occupied this place, they called it Dragon Scale Valley. As it was a basin, the surrounding mountains blocked the cold wind. The climate in Dragon Scale Valley was pleasant. In the past, it was an important stronghold of the heavenly/mountain range demons. After Wang Daoyuan finished off the demon monarch, the demons didn't dare to stay here any longer. They all hid in more secluded places. Although Dragon Scale City was not as lively as Snow Dragon City, there were already many people in the city. In addition, the environment here was much better than Snow Dragon City, and they could enter the East Sea from here. It was not impossible for the city to be more prosperous than Snow Dragon City in the future. After passing Dragon Scale City, they flew all the way north along Hidden Dragon Mountain. After flying for more than 100,000 miles, the mountain range completely disappeared. There were no more rolling mountains in front of them, only a few small hills. The destination of Wang Daoyuan and Zhou Wan's trip was the northernmost part of Hidden Dragon Mountain. According to Hun Yin's memory, the soul demons lived in a secret realm nearby. Wang Daoyuan put away Lei Peng's flying boat and landed on an inconspicuous giant rock. According to Hun Yin's memory, the secret realm he used to live in is under this rock. Zhou Wan glanced at it and said, "The soul demons are the descendants of the ghost immortal. In terms of intelligence, they are not inferior to the human clan. Their means of formations and restrictions should not be much worse than that of the human clan. Besides, since they have the inheritance of the ghost immortal, they are very likely to have the means left behind by the ghost immortal. Take the Tianji Tower of the Celestial Arcanum sect as an example. Even with our current strength, it is not easy to break it. If the soul demons have the combat strength of the semigod realm and the means left behind by the ghost immortal, we will be in danger. Let's not go down rashly lest we fall into a trap." Wang Daoyuan nodded and took out his clone, Mou, from the space of the spiritual pearl. After this guy survived the demonic tribulation, his bloodline was indeed getting closer to his ancestor Mo Jun. After refining Mo Jun's blood essence crystal, he could use his spiritual force to transform a small amount of qi, blood, and divine sense power. Now that he had refined the gift from the demonic tribulation, the transformation speed had increased several times. Although he could not use it in actual combat, it had played a great role in cultivation. In addition, the demon clan could survive in all kinds of harsh environments, so he did not have to worry about being trapped to death. As long as there was any energy in the secret realm below, he could refine it into spiritual force. Then he used his spiritual force to transform his divine sense, qi and blood. As long as his essence, qi and spirit were complete, he could live well. Unlike the great world, a secret realm could not exist in a place with no spirits. Spiritual qi was a necessary condition to maintain a secret realm. If the secret realm became a place with no spirits, it would soon collapse. After the secret realm collapsed, the things inside might scatter into the void. The demon clan was not afraid of this. Wang Daoyuan stuck a grade 3 Earth Escape Talisman on Mou. After activating it with his spiritual force, Mou instantly disappeared from the ground. The grade 3 Earth Escape Talisman's speed and depth were not worth mentioning for a divine transformation realm cultivator, but it was still useful. Mou went down for more than 2,000 feet before finally arriving at an underground stone room. Wang Daoyuan sat cross-legged on a huge rock on the ground and sensed the situation of his clone, Mou. In the underground stone room where Mou was, there was a light screen with a diameter of 10 feet. Behind it should be the secret realm. Wang Daoyuan controlled Mou to enter the light screen. The scene inside quickly appeared in front of Wang Daoyuan. This secret realm was shrouded in a layer of gray fog. This gray fog had an extremely strong concealment effect on a cultivator's vision and divine sense. Even Mou was unable to investigate the situation of the secret realm. Wang Daoyuan used his clone Mou to carefully sense this gray fog. He found that there was Yin Qi, Death Qi, Resentment Qi and other things. Although Wang Daoyuan had not directly come into contact with ghost cultivators, he had seen many evil cultivators who raised ghosts. After all, the Netherworld sect used to do this work. Even Zhong Xinyang's divine ability was cast with the help of ghosts. This gray fog was almost the same as ghosts. No wonder spirit demons like to live in this kind of place. Mou searched in the secret realm. His divine sense sensed the traces of spirit demons many times, but he could not catch them. Spirit demons could open the passage to the underworld. It was too difficult to catch them. After searching for a long time, he did not find any traces of traps or arrays. Wang Daoyuan was relieved and decided to go down and take a look himself. He took out an Earth Escape Talisman and gave it to Zhou Wan. Mou circled around and did not find anything wrong. Let's go down and see if we can find any clues related to the Soul Realm. Zhou Wan took the Earth Escape Talisman, and the two went underground together. Soon they came to the underground stone room. With Mou leading the way, Wang Daoyuan had nothing to worry about. The two entered the light curtain. Wang Daoyuan himself had the Gui water death flame which could produce a lot of yin qi. Coupled with the pure yang qi of the red yang true fire, he did not feel anything from the gray fog. However, Zhou was a little uncomfortable. Her body was wrapped in a layer of red flames, which isolated the erosion of the gray fog. Wang Daoyuan also held her hand tightly and transferred some pure yang qi to help her resist the erosion of the gray fog. He sent a voice transmission to Zhou. This place is extremely strange. It is difficult for you to use your fire controlling skills here. If there is any problem later, immediately enter the space of the spirit pearl. Zhou did not say anything, just nodded gently. Mou also followed the induction and came to the two. The concealment effect of this recovery was really too strong. Wang Daoyuan's divine consciousness could only detect 20 to 30 miles away, and he could not find any clues. Fortunately, there was the soul-chasing compass in his soul. Wang Daoyuan opened the compass, and 3 green light spots appeared on the phantom of the compass. They were Wang Daoyuan, Zhou, and Mou's clone. There were no other light spots in the phantom, which meant that there was no other soul in this secret realm. But previously, Mou's clone had detected the traces of the soul demon. Would a soul formation realm demon have an illusion? This was completely impossible, unless it was done by an enemy with a stronger divine consciousness. Wang Daoyuan felt that this matter was not simple. There should be some tricks in this secret realm. However, since he was already here, he would not be happy if he did not explore it properly. The two of them came to the place where Mou had sensed the traces of the soul demon. Wang Daoyuan used his divine consciousness to investigate carefully, but he did not find anything. He did not waste any more time and directly took Yun out of the space of the spiritual pearl. This guy was forced to cultivate in the space of the spiritual pearl, and his cultivation progress was not slow. Now he was already at the mid-grade of the 5th level, and he was not far from the high grade of the 5th level. Although he was not strong, he had the bloodline of the soul-devouring nether tiger, which was the nemesis of ghosts. This kind of environment in the secret realm was simply his home ground. After Yun came out, he was excited to see the environment in front of him. He even opened his mouth and swallowed a mouthful of gray fog. "Master, what is this place? This gray fog is really delicious." After saying that, he continued to devour it. Wang Daoyuan grabbed one of his ears. "Don't just think about eating. Let's see if there are any traces of soul demons in this secret realm." Yun nodded repeatedly and flew into the sky. His eyes turned pitch black as if he could see through the gray fog. After wandering in the secret realm for 15 minutes, Yun landed beside Wang Daoyuan. "Master, there are many traces left behind by soul demons in the secret realm, but there are no soul demons here. However, I found a place with the most traces of soul demons." Although Yun, this fat cat, was lazy, he could still be of some use at critical moments. Wang Daoyuan nodded lightly. "Take us there." Yun flew in front and led the way. Soon everyone arrived at an altar-like building. Beside the altar were 2 human-shaped sculptures, a man and a woman. From the looks of it, they were not much different from humans. Wang Daoyuan carefully examined the surroundings of the altar and did not find any traces of array formations. According to Hun Yin's memories, these 2 human-shaped sculptures were the ancestors of the soul demon race. There was nothing strange about this altar. It was just a place for worshipping ancestors. He walked up the altar and carefully examined it to see if there was anything special about it. Zhou, Yun, and Mou's clone also followed. There were many patterns engraved on the altar. They looked like nomological inscriptions, but there were obvious differences. Just as Wang Daoyuan was carefully examining them, these patterns suddenly lit up, and a pillar of light appeared on the altar. Wang Daoyuan hurriedly put Zhou and Yun into the space of the spiritual pearl to avoid any danger. As for Mou's clone, he had thick skin and could be used as a meat shield. Mou tried to rush out but was blocked by the pillar of light. He couldn't break through the pillar of light. Suddenly the altar turned into a black hole. Immediately after, a powerful spatial fluctuation spread out, and Wang Daoyuan immediately reacted. This was a special kind of transmission array. Chapter 1061. The teleportation array involved the Tao of space. If he released the spiritual pearl now, he could interfere with the teleportation array. However, the teleportation array had been activated and seemed to be stable. The teleportation array on the other side should be in good condition and could be safely teleported over. If he released the spiritual pearl to interfere with the teleportation array and there was a deviation, he would be teleported into the void. Since there was no way to escape, it was better to teleport over. With the current grade of the spirit veins in the extreme zero ice field, the teleportation array couldn't teleport too far. At most, it could only teleport a few million kilometers. With the Thunder Rock flying ship in hand, a distance of a few million kilometers was no big deal. Soon, his vision turned black and he felt that his body was surrounded by spatial laws. After an unknown period of time, Wang Daoyuan and his clone appeared in an extremely dark place. There was no light here. Cultivators could see at night, but there needed to be a trace of light. In a completely dark place there was no way. He used his divine sense to sense that there was also gray fog here, and it was thicker than the gray fog in the previous mystic realm. With his divine sense he could only detect the situation within 2,000 feet. There was an altar under his feet, which was exactly the same as the one that sent him here. There was no doubt that this was also a teleportation array. Wang Daoyuan had checked the altar before and didn't find any traces of an array. He checked the altar again but the result was the same. Standing on the array disk he couldn't tell that it was an array. It could only mean that the person who set up the array was extremely powerful. His control of the array had exceeded his understanding. As a soul formation cultivator, although the strength of a Mahayana cultivator was far superior to his, he could not see any clues. Therefore, this teleportation array should have been set up by a mighty figure or even an earth immortal. He couldn't even see how the array worked at all. It was even more impossible to activate the teleportation array and return to the mystic realm. Previously there were soul demons everywhere in the mystic realm, but Fiend Prison couldn't catch them. This was to lure him into the mystic realm. This teleportation array wouldn't activate on its own. There must be soul demons with higher cultivation levels hiding in the dark in that mystic realm. These things were proficient in spatial laws and could even directly travel between yin and yang. As long as they hid, even domain divine powers couldn't sense their existence. They teleported him over while he was checking the altar. If they painstakingly set up a trap to teleport him here, there must be a trap here. There had been no movement at all for a long time. He really couldn't figure out what these spirit demons were up to. His domain spread out, enveloping everything within a radius of 1,000 miles. With the help of his domain he could also discover the enemy's whereabouts, but the method was different from divine sense. Divine sense could detect most things but domain could only detect the flow of energy. Whether it was the 5-element spirit chi, the yin and yang chi, or the special energy gifted by the heavens and earth, they could all be sensed. After releasing his domain, he was able to see the general situation of this place. Through the different fluctuations of spiritual power, Nye Tian could roughly tell that this was a secret realm with a diameter of 500 miles. There was a non-elemental spirit vein. Apart from non-elemental spirit chi, there was also a dense gray fog. There were quite a number of yin meridians and baneful meridians in the Qinyuan world, but they were all singular energies. It was either yin chi or evil chi. It was impossible for a spirit vein to emit both at the same time. However, this gray fog didn't only contain yin chi and baleful chi. The energy within it was much more varied. Wang Daoyuan pulled Yunyi out. Yunyi took a deep breath and looked like she was enjoying herself. Where is this? The gray fog here is even more delicious than the gray fog in the previous secret realm. Master, let's live here in the future, okay? I feel like I'm home. These words surprised Wang Daoyuan. Although Yunyi had not reached the level of a semi-divine beast, the divine beast bloodline in her body should not be inferior to that of the dragonfish. Yunyi's bloodline was not worth mentioning in front of the soul-devouring dark tiger's bloodline. Her behavior and habits were more influenced by the soul-devouring dark tiger. The soul-devouring dark tiger's home was in the Ghost Gate, and he was the guardian of the Ghost Gate. If he felt that this place was like his home, it could only mean one thing. The environment here was very similar to the Ghost Gate. Although Wang Daoyuan's physical body was strong, he was still a human. Although he felt uncomfortable in this secret realm, he was not affected much. This should not be the underworld but a secret realm related to the underworld. It was even closer to the underworld than the netherworld secret realm. He was slightly relieved. If this was not the underworld, there was still a chance to return to the Qinyuan world. Since it was a secret realm, there must be an entrance. Wang Daoyuan's divine consciousness saw Yunyi devouring the gray fog with an intoxicated expression. He slapped her on the head. You can never forget to eat. This gray fog has no effect on you. Hurry up and find the exit. I don't want to be trapped in this place. Yunyi opened her mouth and sucked in a mouthful of gray fog. Then she reluctantly spread her wings and flew into the air. After wandering around, she returned to Wang Daoyuan's side. Master, I didn't find the exit in this secret realm. Wang Daoyuan was stunned. He had read a lot of ancient books. However, no matter which ancient book it was, the secret realms recorded had an entrance. If there was no entrance, who could have entered this secret realm and set up a teleportation array? Wang Daoyuan controlled the clone in the space of the spiritual pearl and asked Zhou Luan, "Princess, I was teleported to a dark secret realm. There is no exit in this secret realm. You are very knowledgeable. Have you heard of a secret realm without an exit?" Zhou Luan shook her head. "I've never heard of it. Blood Shadow has collected a lot of secrets about secret realms. Without exception, the secret realms recorded in these secrets all have entrances. If there is no entrance, there may be an extremely brilliant method to completely seal the entrance. However, no matter how brilliant the method is, it is impossible to completely erase the entrance. Otherwise, this secret realm will become an isolated world." After hearing Zhou Luan's words, Wang Daoyuan had an idea. The teleportation array that sent him here was extremely brilliant. Only a mighty figure could set it up. It was impossible for the Soul Demon clan to have a mighty figure now. They didn't even have a semi-god realm warrior. Otherwise they would have unified Beiyuan long ago. The price of setting up a teleportation array was extremely high. It was impossible for the Soul Demon clan to set up a teleportation array for a prison. Therefore, this secret realm should have another important function. The sealing of this secret realm should have happened not long ago. As long as it wasn't an earth immortal or a mighty figure, it wouldn't be difficult to break the seal. Wang Daoyuan released a wisp of the dust-returning flame. His domain converted all the non-elemental spiritual power in the secret realm into the earth element. Apart from the altar, the ground and the surrounding walls of the space were all ignited with earthy yellow flames. If he wasn't worried that the secret realm would collapse, he would have released the spiritual pearl long ago. "Yunyi, don't stay idle. Fly into the air and observe. See if there is anything unusual." In order not to be beaten up, Yunyi, who was addicted to absorbing the gray fog, flew up obediently and looked around. Soon, more than 10 feet of rock lay on the ground and the surroundings were burned away. Yunyi flew over. "Master, I found a place that the dust-returning flame can't burn." Wang Daoyuan breathed a sigh of relief. "I finally found a flaw." He quickly put away all the dust-returning flame. Burning the stone walls of the secret realm like this might cause the secret realm to collapse. He followed Yunyi and soon came to a rock wall. After being burned, a circular rock protrusion with a diameter of 10 feet appeared here. Wang Daoyuan's body was covered with a layer of dragon scales, and his hands turned into dragon claws. He clenched his right fist and punched the protruding rock. With a boom, the rock wall trembled violently. When the rock was beaten, there was an obvious spiritual power fluctuation. This spiritual power fluctuation was a bit like a Dharma artifact. The Soul Demon race is really generous. They used a Dharma artifact to seal the entrance of the secret realm. Even a Dharma artifact left behind by an Earth Immortal is at most level 6. You want to stop me with a Dharma artifact? Wishful thinking. Wang Daoyuan punched the protruding rock continuously. He wanted to see what this Dharma artifact was. After more than 10 punches, the surface of the rock shattered, revealing the Dharma artifact inside. In front of him was an earthy yellow shield. It had a stealth effect and was very hard. After taking so many punches, it wasn't damaged at all. Wang Daoyuan didn't intend to use brute force to destroy it. He still had to save some strength to deal with the possible ambush outside. He drew out a wisp of life spiritual fire, converted all the spiritual power in the secret realm into wood attribute, and began to burn the shield. Although the life spiritual fire wasn't good at cultivation techniques, its spiritual fire essence was also pure wood attribute spiritual power. If he wanted to destroy an earth attribute Dharma artifact, using wood attribute spiritual fire was the most suitable. After 15 minutes, the shield's spiritual power clearly decreased. With a rumbling sound, the surrounding rock layer shattered, and the shield disappeared. A light screen with a diameter of 10 feet appeared in front of him. The entrance to the secret realm finally appeared. He took out the clone Shui Quan from the space of the spiritual pearl and let him walk in front. The clone Mou followed closely behind. Wang Daoyuan followed behind the two demons. After leaving the secret realm, his vision was still gray. The domain divine ability probed that this was a very large space, far exceeding the boundary of the domain. The spiritual power here was extremely dense, even surpassing the level of the heavenly/mountain range. A place with dense spiritual power and extremely wide should be extremely important to the Soul Demon race. Yunyi walked out last, sniffed the surrounding smells, and saliva flowed out of her mouth. "Master, I smell a lot of food. I really want to eat it." The soul-devouring nether tiger fed on ghosts. The food he was talking about should be the soul demons. What are the cultivation levels of these food? The tallest one is slightly higher than me but much lower than Master. Wang Daoyuan nodded. That's the late stage or peak stage of Yuanying. Then he shouted, I think this must be the soul realm, right? You soul demons are descendants of ghost immortals. I thought your intelligence was not inferior to that of humans. Now it seems that the soul demons are too stupid. I didn't want to destroy the soul demons. I just wanted to talk to you. Now get out of here and talk to me. I can have a good talk with you. If you continue to be a coward, I will completely destroy the soul realm. I'll let you soul demons become wandering ghosts. As he spoke, he also used the tiger roar soul subduing technique, which was a great threat to the soul demons. Before he finished speaking, Yunyi also let out an angry roar. Her roar was a kind of divine ability, which had a stronger restraining effect on the soul demons. There was still no soul demon to appear. Wang Daoyuan directly released the red-feathered crow. He had been refining the golden crow velvet feather in the space of the spirit pearl for the past few years. Now there was not much yang energy left in the feather. His cultivation had already reached the upper grade of Tier 5, and he was not far from the peak. Wang Daoyuan converted all the spiritual power within the range of his domain into fire attribute. Red feather, use your divine ability to burn all the gray fog here. With the support of endless fire attribute spiritual power, the red-feathered crow instantly turned into a sun, emitting a dazzling golden light. The gray fog dissipated instantly when it met the golden light. An old voice sounded. This is indeed the soul realm, the ancestral land of my soul clan. This time my soul clan has offended you. We old fellows are at your disposal. Please give my soul clan a way out. Wang Daoyuan ordered the red-feathered crow to temporarily put away his divine ability. An old cultivator appeared in front of Wang Daoyuan. This person's cultivation was at the peak of Yuanying. He wore a gray robe and looked no different from an ordinary person, but his body was between illusion and reality. Chapter 1062. From the memories of Hanyin, he learned that Hanju was an elder of the Soul Demon clan. The Soul Demon in front of him was slightly weaker than Hanju. He shouldn't be the leader of the Soul Demon clan. There were stronger opponents in the Soul realm. The Soul Demon clan was a descendant of a ghost immortal and had hundreds of thousands of years of heritage. In terms of wealth, they might be stronger than the Valley of Beasts. In addition, this was the Soul Demon's nest, so there would be many formations. If they really fought, Wang Daoyuan wasn't confident that he could win easily. However, no matter who won, the Soul Demon clan would suffer heavy losses in the Soul realm. The old Soul Demon spoke softly because he didn't want to destroy his nest. He wasn't really afraid of Wang Daoyuan. The purpose of Wang Daoyuan's trip was to try to subdue the Soul Demon. The Soul Demon clan had been passed down for hundreds of thousands of years. Their ancestors were a ghost immortal Dao couple. Such a background was equivalent to the inheritance of an earth immortal. In addition, they had unlimited divine sense and the ability to travel between yin and yang. They had enough advantages to maintain their pride. If he couldn't beat their pride, they wouldn't submit. They might even hate Wang Daoyuan because of this visit. They might even find an opportunity to launch a sneak attack on the Yen kingdom. Yunyi, is this old guy tasty? Yunyi wiped the saliva that was about to drip from her mouth with her claws and nodded repeatedly. Master, the smell from this old guy is too tempting. I can't help but want to eat him. Then what are you waiting for? Go and eat him. The dignified soul-devouring nether tiger bloodline can't take down a lonely soul with a slightly higher cultivation level? After getting her master's consent, the two clouds on Yunyi's shoulders instantly turned into wings and flew toward the old man. Seeing Yunyi pouncing over, the old soul demon was also frightened. He didn't have the slightest intention of resisting. His entire body became transparent, and then he disappeared into the boundless gray fog. The delicious food in her mouth was gone. Yunyi was exasperated. He raised his head and roared. Then a vortex formed in his mouth. He swallowed a large amount of gray fog before he calmed down a little. Wang Daoyuan secretly nodded his head. This fat cat finally had the demeanor of a divine beast after seeing its favorite food. At this moment, voices came from all directions. Retired Emperor, my soul clan has already surrendered. Why are you still attacking? Wang Daoyuan sneered. You used an ancient teleportation array to scheme against me. Now that I'm out, you can't do anything to me. Do you think you can get me to stop pursuing this matter with just a few soft words? Are all of you soul demons so self-righteous? A dignified voice came from the depths of the fog. Wang Daoyuan, although your cultivation is profound and you have the support of 2 demon race and 2 divine beast bloodlines, my soul race's hundreds of thousands of years of foundation is not just for show. The Soul Demon clan really thinks too highly of themselves. If there is a soul demon of the semi-god realm, with the means left by the ghost immortal, they can easily block the three of us. If there is no semi-god realm soul demon, no matter how strong they are, how much strength can they exert? Red Feather, let this group of people who are neither human nor ghosts see your strength. Red-feathered crow, who had already put away his divine power, turned into a golden sun again. The fire attribute spiritual power that Wang Daoyuan had condensed before did not dissipate. He drew out a wisp of red yang true fire from his body to ignite the spiritual power. He also took out the vermilion bird fan to increase the power of the flame. Under the effect of the red-feathered crow and the red yang true fire, the gray fog instantly dissipated. Many frightened cries came, like the wailing of ghosts and howling of wolves. The soul demons like to live in dark environments and cultivate with the energy derived from the yin qi. They were especially afraid of the pure yang qi. Wang Daoyuan mocked, "Is this the confidence of the soul demon clan? If you want to negotiate, you have to show some real ability. Ants are not qualified to negotiate with me." Arrogant. Before he finished his words, a gust of cold wind blew over. Under the blowing of the cold wind, the gray fog gathered into ghost heads. Even if the golden light of the red-feathered crow sprinkled down, it could not quickly melt the ghost heads. These ghost heads rushed into Wang Daoyuan's domain, trying to defeat the enemy with one blow. Under the red yang true fire and the golden light, these ghost heads did not have much ability. Wang Daoyuan waved his hand and more than 30 golden fireballs smashed out. This was the fire divine lightning. Wang Daoyuan had the 10th water divine lightning, the 3rd fire divine lightning, and the 5th earth divine lightning. The 10th water divine lightning was the strongest. On the sea of 7 stars, the other attributes were not useful. Therefore he put more effort into the 10th water divine lightning, but he also took the time to deduce the other 2 divine lightning. Other than the explosive damage, the 3rd fire divine lightning had nothing special. However, when combined with the red yang true fire, it was extremely effective against the soul demon clan. When the 3rd fire divine lightning touched the ghost heads, it would explode. The ghost heads collapsed and turned into gray fog again. Under the golden light of the red-feathered crow, they quickly melted. The flames emitted by the 3rd fire divine lightning also dispersed the surrounding gray fog. After a few rounds of confrontation, the gray fog within a radius of 1,000 miles disappeared without a trace. After staying in the gray environment for a long time, Wang Daoyuan felt relieved now that the gray fog had disappeared. If it's still this kind of small trick, don't waste my time. Suddenly the ground began to tremble slightly. Wang Daoyuan felt that the spiritual energy nearby was rapidly decreasing, as if it was being sucked away by something. Even his domain seemed to be severely suppressed, and he could not use half of its strength. This defensive formation is called the Netherworld Yin Wind Formation. It was created by 2 Earth Immortal ancestors of my soul clan. Ever since it was established, it has never been used. It's your honor to die under the methods of an Earth Immortal. As soon as he finished speaking, a cold wind blew, and the sound of the wind could be heard everywhere. The wind blew past the rocks, constantly emitting a whistling sound, which made people tremble in fear. With Wang Daoyuan's cultivation, he felt a chill after being blown by the cold wind. His head was still slightly dazed, and his primordial spirit seemed to have been shaken. It seemed that the cold wind was not only harmful to the body but also to the soul. He controlled the scarlet yang true fire to form a layer of flame armor on his body. This flame was extremely solid, and it had an endless supply of spiritual energy so it could completely block the cold wind. Mou's body was wrapped in a layer of black flames, and the cold wind could not penetrate the black flames. Shuequan's body was wrapped in a layer of blood-colored mist, and the cold wind could not penetrate it at all. However, the red-winged crow was more troublesome. Although he had a 5th-stage cultivation, the golden crow bloodline in his body was already very pure. However, this was the soul domain after all, and there was yin energy everywhere, which was a great restriction on him. The cold wind kept blowing, and the golden light on his body became weaker and weaker. Wang Daoyuan controlled the scarlet yang true fire to condense a fireball, and wrapped the red-winged crow inside. However, Yuni especially liked this kind of environment. She did not feel uncomfortable at all in the strong wind. Instead, she flew up and down in the bone-piercing cold wind with a look of enjoyment. This fellow's ancestor looked after the ghost gate. Compared to the ghost realm, this bit of cold wind was nothing. Wang Daoyuan shouted, "Yuni, don't just play by yourself, destroy this cold wind." Yuni originally wanted to continue to play, but now that her master had spoken, she did not dare to disobey. A wave of gold spirit energy appeared around her body. This gold spirit energy spun quickly around her, and quickly formed a small whirlwind. This whirlwind could not be compared to the cold wind. However, when the strong cold wind blew over, not only did it not disperse the whirlwind, it was absorbed by the whirlwind. As time passed, the whirlwind became stronger and stronger. At this rate, not long later, all the cold wind would be controlled by Yun-Yi. Suddenly, rain started to fall from the sky. The raindrops were very small, but their power was extraordinary. The Scarlet Yang True Fire was not afraid of it, but the two demon clones were in an awkward position. When the Yellow Springs water landed on their bodies, the black flames and blood-colored mist protecting their bodies were severely corroded. They could only rely on their dense spiritual energy to resist the corrosion of the Yellow Springs water. Looking at the raindrops carefully, Wang Daoyuan felt that they were very familiar. The raindrops were earthy yellow and emitted a faint yin qi and death aura. Wang Daoyuan was no stranger to this water. It was the Yellow Springs water that he had seen in the Yellow Springs mystic realm. Unfortunately, Wang Minglong did not come. If he came, he could quench his thirst with the Yellow Springs water. After all, the Netherworld Dragon clan lived in the Yellow Springs River. Yun-Yi's spiritual energy was also corroded, and the whirlwind around her could no longer expand. Wang Daoyuan continued to shout, "Is this all the spirit demons can do?" The spiritual energy of this Yellow Springs sinister wind formation comes from the spirit veins and the gray mist that seeped in from the Netherworld. It's endless. It's easy for the formation to last for decades. Let's see how long you can last. You seem to have forgotten one thing. So far we've been defending and have never counterattacked. Now, let's see if the methods left behind by your ancestors can withstand a semi-god realm cultivator. Before he finished speaking, the clone Mou took out a pitch-black demon sword. As soon as the demon sword came out, it began to devour the surrounding Yin Wind and Yellow Springs raindrops. Yin Wind and Yellow Springs were very corrosive to ordinary magic weapons, but they seemed to be useless against the magic weapons of the Devil Clan. Then he waved the sword and slashed out a black sword light. After that, there was a rumbling sound and then there was no movement. Arrogant laughter came from the gray mist. The Devil Clan is indeed powerful, but it's still not enough to break the Yellow Springs sinister wind formation. A single attack was useless. Wang Daoyuan took out the Xianxian cauldron, ordered the red-feathered crow to get into the cauldron, and injected a large amount of red Yang True Fire into the cauldron. Then the Xianxian cauldron devoured a large amount of Yin Wind and Yellow Springs raindrops. After the Yin Wind and raindrops entered the cauldron, they were all refined. The Xianxian even mocked, "The intersection of Yin and Yang is really good." Seeing that the Yin Wind was getting smaller and smaller, all the raindrops were taken away by the Xianxian cauldron. A gray longsword suddenly appeared above Wang Daoyuan's head. Although the longsword was at the peak of the 5th rank, it emitted an extremely terrifying aura. Presumably, it was not an ordinary magic weapon. It should have been left behind by a mighty figure or a ghost immortal. The gray longsword did not fall directly, but absorbed the Yin Wind and Yellow Springs raindrops in the air. Wang Daoyuan waved his hand, and a large amount of fire attribute spiritual energy gathered in the vermilion bird fan. A red-gold vermilion bird with a wingspan of more than 10 feet flew out, and pounced on the gray longsword. The Yin Wind and Yellow Springs raindrops around the gray longsword quickly dissipated, and the power of the gray longsword was also rapidly consumed. A sharp voice rang out, "Soul Slayer." A sword shadow separated from the gray longsword, and this sword shadow pierced through the vermilion bird, and fell on Wang Daoyuan's head. As soon as the sword shadow appeared, his primordial spirit felt a sense of impending doom. The doppelganger Mou condensed a black ball in his hand, and released several black lightning bolts. In front of the black lightning, the sword shadow could not withstand a single blow, and disappeared in an instant. The myriad magic demon lineage was also known for its variety of techniques. This lightning was a Dharma spell of the lightning demon lineage. After shattering the sword shadow, Mou fused the black ball into the black longsword, and the entire sword flickered with black lightning. He leaped high and slashed at the gray longsword. With a crack, the gray longsword was cut in two. However, this gray longsword was not simple. It did not lose its spirituality, and the two sword parts automatically pieced back together and returned to normal. The material of this sword was rather strange. It was half illusory and half real, and its strength was extremely low, but it was difficult to destroy. Mou did not give up and swung his sword again to cut it in two. Wang Daoyuan shouted, "Xianxian." The Xianxian cauldron also stopped absorbing the Yin Wind and Yellow Springs raindrops, and released a suppressive force, immobilizing the two sword parts. Then, it absorbed them into the cauldron. Chapter 1063. The gray long sword kept trembling in the cauldron, trying to break free. However, it was burned by a large amount of red yang true fire, and without the help of yin qi, its strength became weaker and weaker. It couldn't cause any big waves. Even if it was a treasure left behind by an earth immortal, its grade was now only at the upper grade of the 5th rank. The person controlling it was not strong enough. It was already quite difficult to be able to fight with an ordinary cultivator at the early stage of the soul formation realm. The strength of the devil prison was relatively strong among the early stage of the soul formation realm. In addition, it was not difficult to subdue the Xianxian cauldron, which used to be a mid-grade 7th rank magic artifact. Wang Daoyuan said with a smile, "How many treasures does the Soul Demon clan have? Hurry up and take them out. So far there's nothing that I'm interested in. If there's nothing else, I'm afraid the soul realm won't be able to hold on." The majestic voice from before was no longer arrogant. "The retired emperor is so capable. Even the soul-slaying formation left behind by our ancestors can't do anything to you. Our ancestors left behind many things, but most of them can't take down the retired emperor. We'll directly use our strongest means. If we still can't win, the Soul Clan is willing to listen to the retired emperor." After saying that, the Yin wind and the yellow spring water from before stopped, and the ground began to shake violently. After the previous struggle, the gray fog here had almost dissipated. Wang Daoyuan could also see clearly what the yin qi was shaking the ground. There was a huge altar in the distance, and there were two statues of a man and a woman next to it. They were the same as the ones he saw in the Soul Demon secret realm at the north end of the Hidden Dragon Mountain. However, these two statues were much smaller, only the size of an ordinary person. However, the aura emitted by these two statues made Wang Daoyuan not dare to underestimate them. Just by looking at the spiritual power fluctuations, they were only at the upper grade of the 5th rank. Wang Daoyuan could easily wipe out opponents of this level with a wave of his hand. However, the aura emitted by these two statues made Wang Daoyuan feel a little afraid. This kind of fear only existed when facing the divine sense imprint in the Heavenly Mystery Tower and when he encountered the Yin-Yang Immortal Array in Beiyuan Xiuxian. In that case, these two statues might contain the power of a divine sense immortal or even an earth immortal. While Wang Daoyuan was thinking, the two statues moved. The two statues carved from stone were actually very agile. After taking 2 steps, they suddenly disappeared. When he reappeared, he was already in front of Wang Daoyuan. Wang Daoyuan was also a seasoned veteran. He had already made preparations. He took out the white tiger blade and forcefully blocked their attacks. The strength of these two statues was not unexpected. They were Yuanian peak body refinement cultivators. With this bit of power, it was naturally unable to threaten Wang Daoyuan. But the moment they clashed, there were 2 strange hidden forces that carried a cold aura that seeped into Wang Daoyuan's body through the white tiger blade. These 2 powers were quite extraordinary. As soon as they entered his body, they caused his internal organs to vibrate. If it wasn't for Wang Daoyuan's strong physical body, he would have been seriously injured. He hurriedly pulled away and ordered the 2 demon clones to keep the 2 stone statues occupied. On the other hand, he channeled the crimson yang primordial fire to refine the 2 yin qi. This yin qi was quite pure. Although it didn't contain much power of law and was far from the 6th level, it was quite difficult to refine it. However, refining them took a lot of effort. During the refining process, they even tried to enter the sea of consciousness. It took more than 10 breaths of time to completely refine this spiritual power. At this time, Devil Prison and Shui Quan were already retreating. The 2 soul formation realm demons were suppressed by the 2 peak 5th level statues. The voice from before became arrogant again. These 2 stone statues contain the spiritual sense imprints of my soul race ancestors. Retired Emperor, is the strength of my soul clan's ancestor acceptable? Wang Daoyuan had an idea in his heart. His previous guess was indeed correct. The soul race ancestors were a ghost immortal Dao couple. Their spiritual sense imprints were naturally not weak. Back then, when he first entered the Heavenly Mystery Tower, he asked Divine Venerable Demon Sealing's spiritual sense imprint for techniques to increase the power of divine arts. At that time, Divine Venerable Demon Sealing only used a drop of water to block a water dragon supported by his domain. It wasn't that the drop of water contained strong spiritual power. It was just that the Almighty's control of spiritual power had reached the pinnacle. With the same amount of spiritual power, the power they could unleash was thousands of times greater than his. The 2 stone statues in front of him had spiritual sense imprints left behind by the ghost immortal. Their control of power should be above divine venerable demon ceilings. With the help of the array, although the spiritual power was only at the 5th level, it was endless. If this continued, he was afraid that he would really be defeated. He had the red yang true fire that could dissolve the yin qi. The 2 demon clones didn't. Once too much yin qi entered their bodies, their internal organs and primordial spirits would be severely injured. The red yang true fire armor on Wang Daoyuan's body became thicker, and all the spiritual power in his body was converted into red yang true fire. The inheritance of Beiyuan sword immortal could be used with all 5 elements. However, the white tiger blade was a metal attribute magic artifact and couldn't be activated with fire attribute spiritual power. He put away the white tiger blade and took out the Beiyuan sword that he hadn't used for many years. The Beiyuan sword was a 6th level upper grade sword embryo personally forged by the divine venerable Xian. It was just that it didn't have a tool pattern inscribed on it. Wang Daoyuan's current refining skills were not enough to condense a restriction on the sword embryo. Therefore, the tool pattern on the Beiyuan sword was still at the peak of the 5th level. The Beiyuan sword was a non-attribute magic artifact and could be activated with the red yang true fire. His whole body turned into a ball of fire and appeared in front of the 2 stone statues. He waved the sword burning with golden flames and forced the 2 stone statues to retreat. Mou and Shui Quan hurriedly pulled away to refine the yin qi in their bodies. Wang Daoyuan exchanged a few blows with the 2 stone statues. With the protection of the red yang true fire, the effects of the yin qi were indeed much smaller. However, they were still able to send their hidden power into Wang Daoyuan's body and shake his internal organs. Even though his internal organs were extremely strong, they were still shaken to the point of pain. These 2 stone statues were also extremely sturdy. After so many collisions, they didn't show any signs of damage. He also didn't dare to clash head-on with these 2 stone statues. His domain turned into a golden sea of fire. With a move of his divine sense, more than 30 fire divine thunders smashed towards the male stone statue. The male stone statue didn't dodge. The sword in his hand lightly shook and drew out a black hole. The fire divine thunders entered the black hole and all of them disappeared. A moment later, a black hole also appeared behind Wang Daoyuan. All of the fire divine thunders drilled out of the black hole and smashed towards his back. Wang Daoyuan hurriedly dodged and waved the sword in his hand. More than 30 golden sword shadows appeared out of thin air and detonated more than 30 fire divine thunders. The sword shadows and fire divine thunders were all broken. Wang Daoyuan wasted his spiritual power in vain but didn't cause any damage. The male stone statue's technique was the Tao of Space. It directly diverted his attacks and hit him back. Being able to use the Tao of Space freely in his domain, the domain couldn't restrict them at all. As a result, all long-range attacks were ineffective. If he fought in close combat, his internal organs would be shaken by the strange force. Long-range attacks didn't work, nor did close combat. Wang Daoyuan used the dragon transformation technique. His whole body was covered with dragon scales and his hands turned into dragon claws. In this state, his physical strength and strength were greatly improved and he could take a few more hits. The 2 stone statues attacked again. Wang Daoyuan clashed with them a few times, and the force on his internal organs was indeed much lighter. However, taking a beating was not a long-term solution. He had to think of a way to break the situation. There is no structure to store spiritual power in these 2 stone statues. To be able to fight all the time, there must be a formation to maintain it. You go and destroy the formation here. Once the formation is broken, these 2 stone statues won't be able to display their great abilities. Yun-Yi nodded and manipulated the metal wind to attack the ground everywhere. The red-feathered crow also flew out of the Xian cauldron, emitting a dazzling golden light. The cold yin qi in the bodies of the 2 demon clones was almost dissolved. They attacked the ground one after another, trying to find the location of the formation. The Xian cauldron also released a large amount of golden flames, desperately consuming the spiritual energy here. At this time, 5 peak-stage Yuanying spirit demons appeared out of thin air and fought with them. Yun-Yi and the red-feathered crow were both the nemesis of the spirit demons. The 2 demon clones and the Xian cauldron had the advantage in terms of grade. Logically speaking, they should be able to win quickly. However, the magic artifacts used by these spirit demons were quite extraordinary. They should be magic artifacts passed down from ancient times. Not only did they not gain the advantage, but they were also at a disadvantage. Wang Daoyuan invited Zhou Luan out of the space of the spiritual pearl. Zhou Luan saw that blood was constantly flowing out of his mouth and wanted to help him deal with the stone statues. Wang Daoyuan hurriedly dissuaded her. These two stone statues have Ghost Immortal's divine sense imprints. You are not their match. Go deal with those spirit demons. I can still hold on for a long time. Zhou Luan nodded and attacked the red-feathered crow's opponent. With the addition of Zhou Luan, the disadvantage was quickly reversed. The 5 spirit demons were at a disadvantage, but it was still difficult to win in a short time. Wang Daoyuan took out Spirited Flame from the space of the spiritual pearl. Spirited Flame, help me deal with a stone statue. Spirited Flame was born near the place where the golden crow fell. He had extremely strong pure yang qi and was not afraid of the coldine qi. In addition, his body was made of lava, so he was not afraid of the strange dark force of the 2 stone statues at all. Spirited Flame entangled the male stone statue. He did not play any fancy tricks, just close combat. Wang Daoyuan kept replenishing his spiritual power with the red yang true fire. This time, the stone statue had met its nemesis. Spirited Flame's unreasonable fighting style had completely gained the upper hand. This was really a case of a random fist beating a master to death. Wang Daoyuan dealt with a female stone statue by himself and gradually turned the tables. After fighting for 15 minutes, the 5 spirit demons could not hold on any longer. After all, their cultivation was inferior. If they continued to fight, they would definitely lose. A man holding a long black banner shouted, "Retired Emperor, the soul race admits defeat. As long as you are willing to give the soul race a way out, we are at your disposal." This old guy knew his own limits. At present, the soul race had no chance of winning. If they continued to fight and lost a few more people, they might not even be qualified to surrender. Wang Daoyuan said with a smile, "I can give you a way out. Let these 2 stone statues retreat first." The 2 stone statues stopped attacking and returned to the side of the altar. Wang Daoyuan shouted, "Stop." Zhou Luan and the others also pulled away from the spirit demons and returned to Wang Daoyuan's side. The soul race is indeed the descendant of the Ghost Immortal. If not for the fact that we have enough people this time, it would be difficult to win. The soul race is also a branch of the human race. If you are willing to surrender and be at my disposal, I will not make things difficult for you. I still have some methods to completely destroy the soul race. The method you used to escape to the underworld is useless in my hands. I came this time to subdue the soul race, so I did not use the suppression box. If you play any more tricks, I will destroy the soul race. The method Wang Daoyuan was talking about was naturally the spirit bead. Once the spirit bead appeared, all energy would be absorbed. If it took a little longer, the surrounding spirit veins might drop in grade. These soul race people also knew that he had this ability. After all, there were soul race people who had been defeated by Wang Daoyuan before. The man holding the long banner bowed and said, "Since we lost to the retired emperor, we are naturally willing to listen to your orders. It's just that our soul race's method of transforming spirit power into divine sense is coveted by many experts. We were able to survive for hundreds of thousands of years by hiding. I hope that the retired emperor will not announce our existence. Otherwise, there will definitely be mighty figures and even earth immortals who will attack us. With the retired emperor's strength, I'm afraid it will be difficult to protect the entire soul race." Chapter 1064. That was true. Even mighty figures coveted the ability to convert spiritual power into divine sense. There was no lack of spirit meridians in the world. As long as there were spirit meridians, there would be no lack of spiritual power. However, divine sense could not be obtained directly from the outside world. It could only be produced slowly by the body. However, divine sense was the most important when nurturing the essence soul and fusing the essence, energy and spirit into immortal power. Many mighty figures in the Qianyuan realm were looking for ways to increase their divine sense. The soul demons had always been a legend. No one could confirm their existence. If it was confirmed, there would be many mighty figures who would be willing to spend a lot of effort to capture them. Wang Daoyuan nodded. "I won't leak the soul race's information, but I have to know what they can do." The soul race's ability to fight head-on was not strong. Wang Daoyuan had spent so much effort to deal with them mainly because there were backup plans left behind by Ghost Immortal. If they were to fight in the wilderness outside the ice field, these 5 soul demons would not be enough to deal with Fiend Prison and Blood Spring. The soul race's real use was their ability to hide. They were very suitable for spying and assassinating important targets. The man with the long banner looked ashamed. To be honest, before the soul race cultivates to the Yuanying realm, they are very afraid of sunlight. Even if we are at the peak of the Yuanying realm, it is difficult for us to use half of our strength under the sun. If we want to be completely unaffected by the sun, we have to be at least mighty figures. If you want to command the soul race, it is best not to leave the ice field. If we are outside, I am afraid my strength is not as good as a mid-stage Yuanian human. This Golden Crow bloodline can easily defeat the 5 of us. Wang Daoyuan was a little disappointed. In the future, the main battlefield of the War of Providence would not be in the ice field. The soul race's strength would be greatly reduced if they left the ice field. They were destined to not be of much use. At most, they could help a little in the ice field or assassinate important targets at night. However, assassinating important targets was not something that could be done in one night. Although he was a little disappointed, he had gotten rid of a thorn in his side. At least he did not have to worry about them causing trouble for the Yen Kingdom. Since you're outside the frost icy plains, you won't be able to use much of your strength. I'll try my best not to let you fight outside the frost icy plains. Although the Ice Plains demon race was not a threat, they still had to be on guard. The soul race has lived in the extreme frost icy plains for hundreds of thousands of years. They should have some understanding of the extreme frost icy plains. Are there any powerful demons in the depths of the icy plains? Replying to retired emperor, the environment in the depths of the ice field is extremely harsh. There are cold winds everywhere. We soul race do not have a physical body and are most afraid of such an environment. Other than the 2 ghost immortal primogenitors, no one else could go deep into the ice plains. In the records left behind by the 2 primogenitors, it was said that the depths of the ice plains were the end of the world. He even warned us juniors that before we reach the Earth immortal stage, we must not investigate too deeply. It's a pity that the younger generation is incompetent. After the 2 primogenitors, there hasn't been another Earth immortal. Hearing this, Wang Daoyuan knew what was going on. The depths of the extreme frost icy plains were similar to the depths of the West Sea. It was the end of the Qinyuan world, but the environment in the extreme frost icy plains was harsher. Since that was the case, there might also be descendants of ancient beasts in the depths of the Arctic tundra, just like in the West Sea. In the future, when his cultivation level was high, he could explore it. Wang Daoyuan nodded. Since you are willing to submit to me, I have to have a way to control you. If I ignore you and the soul race refuses to listen to my orders in the future, I might not have the time to attack the Soul Society again. How about this? I'll tear down the array formation left behind by your soul primogenitor to prevent you from having any other thoughts. Although he had defeated the pride of the soul race this time, letting them know that there was always someone better, Qin Yun did not know much about him. However, Wang Daoyuan knew too little about the soul race. In order to prevent them from having any thoughts of betrayal, he had to restrain them. The old fellows of the soul race turned anxious. Retired Emperor, you must not do that. Deep in the extreme frost icy plains, we are often harassed by demons. Without this ancestral array, we might be wiped out by the demons. Wang Daoyuan said with a smile, since the soul race has already agreed to submit to me, I naturally do not wish for you to be wiped out. However, the soul race is not an ordinary human. If you have any thoughts of disloyalty, it will not be easy for me to take you down. If you do not have the means to control the soul race, I do not dare to trust you. Yuanying, the 5 soul race elders began to discuss with each other. They talked for a full 7 minutes. The man with the black banner said, our soul race primogenitor created a secret technique called the Nether Blood Contract. This secret technique is a bit like recognizing a master. However, the relationship between the 2 parties is not confirmed. It needs to be explained in the Nether Blood Contract. We are willing to sign the Nether Blood Contract with you and serve you as our master in the future. If we betray you, the entire soul race will be implicated. Wang Daoyuan had read about such a contract in the books that he had read before. However, he had never seen a true inheritance. The Valley of Beasts did not have such an inheritance either. Show me the method to use the Nether Blood Contract. If there are no problems, we can sign the Nether Blood Contract. The man with the long banner took out a scroll and a jade slip that was more than a foot long and 3 inches wide. This scroll is a half-finished product of the Nether Blood Contract. If you want to sign the Nether Blood Contract, write down the contents of the contract on this scroll. Then, fuse the power of laws into it and it will take effect. The jade slip records the refining method of the Nether Blood Contract, as well as the method to use it. Wang Daoyuan took the scroll and jade slip. The scroll was completely black. The material was made of some kind of silk, and the scroll was made of a black crystal. Wang Daoyuan carefully examined the black crystal and found it somewhat familiar. Is the black crystal on this scroll a soul crystal? The material is also not ordinary. It's not just made of material. The man with the long banner shook his head and said, this black crystal is called a soul stone. It is a soul crystal of inferior quality. It needs to be nurtured in a suitable environment for a long time before it can be called a true soul crystal. The material is made of nether silkworm silk. It can contain a lot of spiritual sense and can be used to refine high-grade spirit talismans. Nether silkworms and soul stones are both items of the netherworld. Our soul race can travel between yin and yang, so we brought a lot of them from the netherworld. This piqued Wang Daoyuan's interest. Nether silkworms and soul stones might not be of much value in the netherworld, but they were good things in the human world. Although soul stones were not soul crystals, they could completely replace soul crystals when refining class 4 or 5 puppets. Nether silkworm silk could be used to refine high-grade spirit talismans. Naturally, it could also be used to refine ghost Dao Dharma artifacts. They were extremely valuable. The profits from reselling rare materials were extremely terrifying, especially when they monopolized trade routes. Only the soul race could do the business of selling spiritual items from the netherworld to the Qianyuan world. Wang Daoyuan remained calm as he continued reading the contents of the jade slip and memorizing it. After reading for a while, he forced out a drop of blood essence. According to the way the contract was written, he wrote the contents on the scroll with ancient words. The general meaning was that the soul race was loyal to Wang Daoyuan and would accept his jurisdiction and dispatch. If they violated it, they would suffer heavenly punishment. After writing it, Wang Daoyuan handed the netherworld contract to a few soul race members for inspection. The man with the long banner forced out a drop of gray blood essence and wrote the word Soul Race's Patriarch, Soul Lord on the contract. Wang Daoyuan took the netherworld contract and channeled the power of laws into it. The entire black scroll collapsed, turning into a complicated inscription pattern before disappearing from the world. Everyone from the soul race felt that they were bound by some kind of restriction. Wang Daoyuan also felt that he had formed a certain connection with the soul race. After the master recognition, Wang Daoyuan smiled and said, "Since you have already acknowledged me as your master, I naturally won't make things difficult for you. However, you have to abide by some rules. Firstly, you are not to take the initiative to attack humans. If human cultivators threaten the soul race, you can attack. Secondly, assist the Yen Kingdom's citizens in suppressing the demons. In the future, the Yen Kingdom will build cities at the edge of the extreme frost icy plains. When these cities are attacked, you have to do your best to help." Soul Monarch bowed and said, "Yes, retired Emperor." Wang Daoyuan nodded in satisfaction and took out a white jade token. This is the token of an idol elder of the Myriad Rivers Chamber of Commerce under the Yen Kingdom. From now on, you will be an idol elder of the Myriad Rivers Chamber of Commerce. Some of the materials obtained by the soul race from the underworld are very valuable. With this token, you can go to any Myriad Rivers Chamber of Commerce shop in the Yen Kingdom and exchange them for spirit stones. Soul Lord accepted the token, but he did not value it too much. Under Wang Daoyuan's inquiry, he said, "We soul race don't need much spirit power. Instead, we need inattribute spiritual items and all kinds of souls. Spirit stones are no different from ordinary stones to us. There are very few things we need in the human shops. It's meaningless to exchange them for spirit stones." Wang Daoyuan took out a jade bottle from the spirit pearl space. "Take a look at what's inside. Do the soul race need it?" Soul Lord took the jade bottle and opened it. The 5 peak Yuanying soul race members revealed intoxicated expressions. "This is the nectar of the 7-leaf ghost face flower, and it's a mid-grade tier 5-1. Spirit plants lived in an environment with high spirit power concentration. Even if their grade was not high, their descendants could break through their upper limit and become high-grade spirit plants. The 7-leaf ghost face flower had been in the spirit pearl space for a long time. Now the highest grade was a high-grade tier 5-1. Wang Daoyuan took out a few more black jade-like lotus seeds. Soul Lord took a look. "These are the seeds of the black jade lotus, but why are they only a high-grade tier 3-1? If the juniors of the soul race can eat this often, it will be very beneficial to their cultivation. It's a pity that the gray fog in the soul realm comes from the underworld. It's too heterogeneous and not suitable for growing the black jade lotus." Wang Daoyuan smiled. "It seems that you need a lot of things. The entire Beiyuan Xiuxian has quite a lot of pure yin earth veins. The places where these yin veins are can also cultivate a large number of spirit plants that like yin qi. The Myriad Rivers Chamber of Commerce has shops in Beiyuan and other countries. If you need yin attribute spirit items, they can send them over. You will also need to spend spirit stones to buy them. In addition to these things, you can also buy some demonic beast souls. There aren't many demonic beasts in the extreme cold ice plains, but there are endless demonic beasts in the sky/mountain range, the East Sea, and the southern wilderness. As long as you are willing to buy demonic beast souls, the Myriad Rivers Chamber of Commerce can get a large number of them. Soul Lord showed a yearning expression. Will there be a lot of 7-leaf ghost face flowers, flower dew and black jade lotus seeds? Do you think it's possible? The 7-leaf ghost face flower grows for too long. It's impossible to have a lot of them. There is still some hope for the black jade lotus seeds. I will let the Myriad Rivers Chamber of Commerce cultivate more in the future. There should be a lot of demonic beast souls. The Myriad Rivers Chamber of Commerce also raises spirit beasts in some secret realms. Especially the souls of low-grade spirit beasts, they can be supplied in large quantities. Soul Lord nodded. Don't worry, Grand Emperor. My soul race will definitely bring more things from the underworld in the future. Your token can also contact the president of the Myriad Rivers Chamber of Commerce, which is my son, the current emperor of the Yen Kingdom. If there is anything important, you can discuss it with him directly. By the way, where is the exact location of the Soul Realm? If it's too far, they shouldn't be able to receive it. Grand Emperor, this place is more than 1,000,000 miles away from the border of the extreme cold ice plains. That you're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.